Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again to LSRTV here at Darlington for what can only be described as what is going to be a long and excruciating race here. Going to be a long race indeed. Of course, here in the booth tonight, myself producing as well as announcing, and Sam Dyer beside me in the booth. Sam, I think long pretty much sums up how this night is going to go under the lights.
Yeah, this is an extremely long race. If you've been watching a lot of the LSRTV productions with the Northwest series, guys, they had their Darlington run. They were running about 140 some laps. Those races were going for about two hours each. This race much longer, 208 laps of torture for these drivers. A setup that is extremely loose and really unknown on how these drivers are going to be able to hold on. Been watching practice, it is a handful, and they're still trying to figure out how to hold on to these cars coming off the corners.
Yeah, you're looking at about 68 more laps in this race, right at 68 more laps than the other Darlington races we did. And again, we hope everybody hangs in there with us. I hope my stomach hangs in there, as this is right at dinner time for me. But again, we did that caution-free with an ARCA race. And it took about 2 hours and 11 minutes. So we know for sure this race is going to go over the 2 hour mark. So make sure you grab you a snack. And while you're at it, grab me and Sam a snack too. And eat something for us, because we are going to be stuck here. Well, as much as we would like to eat, Sam, it's kind of hard to eat and talk at the same time. I believe that is how choking happens.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of hope that we've got caution. We got commercials that we're going to be putting up. Can't wait to be showing those off with new sponsors being a part of LSR TV. Can't wait to show them off here in this long race, but it's going to be a long one. But I think this is also exciting time, as this is the start of round number 12 for the playoff drivers, that of Shane Terrian, Trenton Jump, Bronson Stafford, Joshua Altice, as well as Spencer Hardison, Matt Dyer, Braxton DeWeese, Logan Breakey, Eric Stamp, Tyler Stooksbury, Tom Bourne, and finishing out with Austin Jordan. Those are your 12 drivers battling for a championship run. And this is going to be a wild start to the season, because no fast repairs in this race, so who knows who's going to be still alive by the end of these 208 laps.
Yeah, we've seen it in multiple races. Unfortunately, more in that 44 machine in the ARCA or in the Cup Series and Truck Series did not have the night he wanted to, collecting a few drivers on a start and a restart. So you've got to be careful. We've seen it happen time and time again, where these tires, you spin them out and you end up taking out 2 or 3 good cars with you, along with yourself. So definitely we'll see if that happens here, but we could not afford to lose any. There's actually 17 drivers that have checked in here at Darlington. I am pleasantly surprised. They were looking at 13 to 15, and to be honest, we were expecting quite a few less than that, being that it is on Mother's Day and a lot of families are celebrating. I know myself having to forego doing any family events tonight, as I had to tell them, sorry, I can't do Mother's Day with you, Mother. I got to do a race. She wasn't real happy with me, I can tell you that, but nevertheless, we are here, and should be a good one. Obviously, this track just getting a new revamp from iRacing 4, as you can see, the Goodyear 400 in real life. So it is kind of nice to get to use this track a little bit more, since it is being used in real life now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the different sponsors that were for this season and for today's race at Darlington for the actual Cup drivers. And then also you get to see the surface has changed with the strips, which allows the drivers to really see the defined lines on where you want to be attacking these corners, unlike the old surface where all you saw was the rubber lines that were placed. And sometimes that wasn't the best line to be running. So it gives these drivers a better opportunity of really holding their lines through the corner.
Yeah, definitely it does, and we'll find out who is top dog in qualifying here in about 20 seconds, as they'll get these last few seconds of practice and a few extra seconds for everything to reset. Right now, though, obviously no surprise, Shane Terrian out on the top, but we do know he is on his controller again this week, as much as he liked the wheel, he was just not quite comfortable going into the playoffs using it yet. So we can't fault him for that. You got to use what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I would say for Shane, if he wins here tonight, locks in for moving on to the round of 8, maybe then we'll see Shane bring out the wheel for that of Iowa and Talladega for these final races in the round of 12. But, stay with what's comfortable, especially with Darlington. Again, touching on the new surface, it's actually a lot slicker now when they brought in the new surface. So these setups that were already feeling kind of loose, they're even more touchier than they used to be, as we're seeing Tom Bourne in the 54. Bourne somehow sneaked his way into the playoffs, but I don't think the 54, he's got to be hoping for a better start, and that is not how you start your qualifying.
Yeah, that is definitely not how you start it. As we jump over to Robert Kinney here, and it's did an update here for the scoring software. Now it shows their middle initial, so we'll be working on that. We may have some uses for it. But we'll see as we'll bring down your times. We saw many times there for Robert Kinney getting loose in practice and hitting the outside wall, the inside wall. We'll see if he does that here in qualifying because, Sam, this is where it counts.
Yeah, this is playoff time for these drivers, and Kenny coming into the playoffs, he'd missed it out when he was actually one of the final 4 drivers last season. Missed out on the playoffs this year, just did not have the consistency that he had last year, and that's something that he's trying to transform into this current playoffs, trying to be that best of the rest. Points that are going to be out there for all the drivers that did not make playoffs. They're fighting for kind of a smaller prize pool, but still a small championship run for those drivers that didn't make the top 12. Is Kenny top of the board with his first lap, and then it gets stolen away by Jump and Breaky.
Yeah, Jump gonna have it at the one with a 28.752. Logan Breaky, like you said, right behind him, and never mind, is a brother of you, not my brother, your brother, Matt Dyer, going to jump to the top, and he ain't gonna be there for much longer as they do come in, but he is sitting there in fourth with a 29.099. We'll see if that second lap can be a little bit faster, but definitely liking the Mr. Clean car out there tonight.
Yeah, Matt, he's been working on his schemes, trying to figure out how to incorporate Mr. Clean, and he's figured out, hey, he really likes Mr. Clean on the side. Well, I don't think Mr. Clean's going to be very clean by the end of this race, as he's going to get a lot of wear and tear on that 88 and hoping not to get too many scrapes on that shiny head on the side.
Yeah, and there's the 54 Bourne back to the top with a 28.621. Yes, it was someone we missed last week who was actually working. He works for the Navy, and he was at work. He's going to need to repair that car now as the 96 scrapes the wall of Atlee Gray. Missed last week, but he's here now, and qualifying not quite going the way he's looking.
Yeah, I got Atlee Gray. He's doing his thing, and yeah, it's good to be seeing him back after doing his service last week. And Shane Tarian, another one of our veterans who's done service in the Navy as well, who is looking quick in the 38. And you're seeing those playoff numbers, the yellow on the spoilers, splitters, and on the banners of these cars. All 12 of our running drivers will have that on their vehicles during the playoffs. And looking at the board, we're missing a playoff driver. Tyler Stewksbury just got notified. He will not be showing up for today's race. He showed up on time to his house, but his internet was out. So complications for the 19, not able to show up for today's race.
Yeah, and I had to take a minute to look at this car for a minute. I believe this is Zimmerman Concrete. No plagiarism at all there. The car definitely looks good by Braxton DeWeese. I'm sure Napa won't mind too much if you use that logo. It looks definitely good, and you never know. Maybe they sell concrete there. I don't know, but I don't think I've ever been into a Napa store, so we'll see. But right now he's at 28.852, crosses line 28.555. We'll see if it rounds. It does to 554, and he'll take second place so far. And we have a few drivers that have not taken time, and that includes Tyler Stewksbury, who we know internet went out, and
he showed up.
It's back on, so it looks like he is back. We'll see if he gets out on the track. Ryan Huff, Tanner Johnson, and Altus have not taken time yet.
Yeah, and I think them deciding to stay back, especially for Altus, I think it's wait and see what the chaos is going to be up front. If you've been watching, the Northwest Series, Charles touched on it. There was multiple drivers had issues on the starts and restarts on getting a lot of wheel spin, even with fresh tires. That is an issue that we're probably going to be seeing here tonight. And hopefully the drivers have practiced, as it looks like qualifying has come to a close, and it's race time for this long 208 lap course.
That it is, and we'll go ahead and quickly get through the grid as they'll go, I believe, no, they're going to take one lap around this joint, as it is a very short track indeed. Only 1.3 miles, but it is enough to trigger just one lap. And no surprise on row one, it's gonna be Shane Terrian in that 38 machine alongside the 15 of Braxton DeWeese. And row two is going to be Tom Bourne in the 54 and Bronson Stafford in the 61, Sam.
Yeah, and then we're going to be going back to row number 3, where we've got Jump and Hardison. And for both Jump and Hardison, our top 6, all playoff drivers, all looking quick. Spencer Hardison, what a great season it's been for him. He's been getting better each and every week. And we go back to row number 4, where you've got Caleb Smith and Alex Walter. Both those drivers have been having beef with one another. We'll see if they can clean it up here at Darlington. And then dropping back to row number 5, you got Matt Dyer and Robert Kenny.
And row at number 6 going to be the 28 of Austin Jordan, and row 6 on the outside going to be Atlee Gray, who we mentioned missed last week. And we'll just finish this one off here as it's just a few more. 29 of Logan Brakey coming towards the rear, and his teammate there with Admin Racing in the 53 of Eric Stamp. I assume they're still teammates anyway. The 5 of Joshua Altus, who did not qualify. Tyler Stooksbury not qualifying as well. And rounding out your 18 car field is going to be the 23 of Tanner Johnson and the 73 of Ryan Huff. Again, Stooksbury lucky to have made it. Earlier reported his internet was gone, out, caboose, whatever you want to call it. It was not working. Well, it looks like he made it. He is in this race.
Yeah, and this is huge for Stooksbury, because if he can have a good run here here at Darlington, next week at Iowa. I was talking to all the playoff drivers, trying to get their thoughts coming into the season, and for that at Stooksbury, he's got to run consistent for these first 2 races and hope that 4 other drivers have issues, because it sounds like he might not be showing up for the final race of round number 12 at Talladega.
Yeah, hopefully things change in the can, but the playoffs are underway, as you can see right there with the yellow. Don't be fooled. Some of them have yellow on their car anyway, but you're looking for the yellow splitter, the yellow spoiler on the back, and of course the big, really defining one is the yellow on the where the name usually would be, or used to be. Now the name's technically on the back, where the league name is, where it says Adrenaline. You can see that yellow there, and we'll zoom in here in a little bit when we get the chance. And we'll show you that up close and personal. But Sam, the green flag is back, or fixing to be out, I should say. Not back out yet. It's about to be out here for the first time tonight. There it is. Green flag is out, and we are underway. Still a long, long night for 17 cars, and we've already got them wadding up in the back.
Yeah, Alex Walter got into the wall, which then backed Robert Kenny up, and also Eric Stamp, the whole entire outside line, not able to get going. Luckily, they all stay straight, but that could have been already our first caution, and with us just taking off. But now we're seeing the rest of the field getting all single filed out, and now it's the question of who feels brave enough to try to make a pass into either corner.
Yeah, if I'm one of these guys, I don't know how brave I'm going to be feeling right now. I'm definitely going to be just slightly scared, and yellow is out, and it's the 34 of Robert Kenny bringing out the cautions. We'll take a quick look and see what happened here in our first Pulse of Poppers instant replay. And let's be honest, if this is the trend, only on lap 2, seeing the first caution, we could be in trouble of hitting that time limit, which is 3 hours and 25 minutes, as we already know it's going to be close to the 3-hour mark probably.
Yeah, you're going to be seeing it here on the entry of 3. Kenny just bobbles and gets into the wall, and the whole entire time he's going through 3 and 4, trying to save the 34 and just not able to. and coming across the lane and hard into the inside wall. That is going to be a big ding to the 34. And with no fast repair, he's going to have to come in, and with the angle that he hit that inside wall, that most likely is some engine damage, and he is going to be low on power.
Yeah, and that is the big key. No fast repairs. So he's going to be low on power. And, you know, this right now, Sam, this is where we really start to wonder how this race is going to go. You get 1-2 cars getting into the wall, causing damage. They're underpowered. They're going to be a little bit slower because of no fast repairs. You get 3, you know, those 2 maybe get together again. You have 5 or 6. Then you start seeing these front guys coming by these lap cars or lapping them that are, you know, damaged. It increases our chances of seeing those guys getting involved in one.
Yeah, and especially on the start of this race. I mean, Stooksbury, he was involved in that first incident with that of Alex Walter and Robert Kenny. So I'm wondering for Stamp, he's one of our playoff drivers, how much damage did the 53 get in running into Robert Kenny? And he's already in pit road trying to get service done, and this is hard for drivers that are trying to get into the next round of the playoffs because, you know, you got here Darlington, then you got Iowa next week, short track racing, and it could be calamity, but then you've got the major wild card of Talladega to finish out this round. This is probably one of the hardest rounds you could be setting yourself up for of all of the different playoff rounds that we're going into.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, you know, while we have a quick moment, we'll play their commercial here in just a minute, and I do believe we got him in there. There we go. Tom Denchel Auto Group. I don't have the full script in front of me. I apologize, Tom, but of course they are your Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Ford dealer. A few others out there in Washington State, but you know the good news. They don't just serve in the Washington area. You can actually do virtual test drives. So if you're looking for a new truck, car, SUV, pretty much they've got it. I know for a fact they advertise they've got cars in stock while others don't, and I can personally tell you there are a lot of car dealerships around here in the state of Texas that are struggling to get cars. They have them, so make sure you check them out. Tom Denchel Auto Group on Facebook, their website, and you can do virtual test drives, Sam.
Yeah, virtual test drives are probably one of the biggest helpfuls for any company now because of how much you're trying to get yourself involved. But yeah, their biggest thing, they've got so much inventory. If you need a new car, new or used, they've got it at the Tom Denchel's Auto Group.
Yeah, definitely check them out. And, too bad, Sam, they don't sell race cars because some of these guys are going to need a new race car after tonight, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the 34 Robert Kenny, he's already going to need one. He wasn't taking too much repairs, but he's back out there as the pace car pulls off. Shane Darian and Braxton DeWeese get ready to go green. And we are green as that of Tarian and Bronson Stafford on the inside. Great launch for themselves. That outside group just did not take off.
No, they did not. It was going to stack it up. Braxton DeWeese kind of getting pinched up there by the 54 of Bourne just a little bit. Oh, and he almost gets the wall. He almost got his stripe on the wall from Coca-Cola, so it would have been a red stripe, but definitely keeps it off the wall. That is good news for him, but these guys are getting right up next to the wall, and that's a scary thing here for a track that's too tough to tame, knowing you get your Darlington stripes.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of expecting to get at some point their stripes here, and for some drivers it's later on in a run when your tires are worn off and you really cannot hold the same line you were doing before. And for drivers early on, it's get close to the wall. It's the closer you can be without hitting the wall, the faster you're going to be here at Darlington. And it's a lot of a trust yourself and be on the razor's edge at all times. It's Tom Bourne. He's cruising. He's looking pretty quick. These drivers were here last season, but completely different kind of format on how the drivers were running just because of the different cert tire and track surface that they're dealing with. But it was Bronson Stafford that won last season, and Braxton DeWeese really dominating as Bourne gets out of shape for himself.
Yeah, he does, and I was just about to go look at him here as he's got a battle, and we're going to zoom in on these cars as close as we can. And when they come around here, you'll see those yellow banners, what we were talking about. Right there, you see yellow, 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 yellow. All 4 of these cars in the playoffs right now, and they are absolutely duking it out. As we heard that noise you made. That is, that almost made contact.
Oh, there was some contact between the 9 and the 54 there, shooting Bourne down, and those are playoff drivers. All of the drivers in the top 7 are in the playoffs, trying to have the best run that they can, and then splitting between Matt Dyer and Austin Jordan's Caleb Smith, who is a non-playoff driver, and he's just kind of in cruise control. This is the best run we've seen the 12 have in multiple weeks. Caleb Smith, he's been either running practically in last place or gets wrecked out and in last place the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, and you speak of those banners real quick. We will mention you do not see the color on there this week. We took out the old. We didn't know what color they were going to use for their playoffs. Now that we know it's a yellow, we will add yellow in here, and you'll see yellow and you'll see green or blue, probably blue when they advance. So yellow will mean in the playoffs, and blue will indicate they have advanced into the next round. So be looking for that starting next week as we're still in the round of 12. As a little battle here happening between the 54 of Bourne and the 46 of Jump, as those two just starting to really ramp up this battle. And it's only really a battle because Bourne got loose and got a little sideways. Otherwise, I think Bourne would have pulled ahead quite a bit, but definitely it's underway, that battle, and this battle possibly underway here with Deweese and Harden.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are really heating it up, and just looking at how well they're attacking, I think right now for the drivers, 12 laps into this run, trying to just save their tires. For some drivers, they might be taking off, trying to be as fast as possible, and they could really hurt them on the long run, while most of the field, they are taking it easy, not trying to burn off their tires just yet. But Deweese, one of the fastest cars on track, the fastest car on track, that's Trenton Jump in 5th place.
Yeah, Trenton Jump is a rocket ship out there. We'll see if he can make something happen in that bush at number 46, as he's got to catch up with Hardison here. We'll see if he can do that. And I want to note that Ryan Huff, the 73, didn't bring out a caution, but he is in pit road and he has heavy damage. So it looks to be we are already one car out of this race.
Yeah, and Huff, he's just been having a very not consistent, well, he's been consistent, but in the wrong ways. He's been wrecking out of these races a lot. And for the 73, his goal was just to have a good run for himself, but he got really hard in the wall before he had to come back into pit road and didn't bring out a caution, and that's something that we're going to be seeing a lot here tonight. That first wreck with that of Robert Kenny brought out a yellow, but we've seen a lot, especially with the Northwest series this past week when they were racing at Darlington. There were a lot of drivers getting up in the wall or having their issues and no yellow coming out because the racing line is actually pretty narrow here at Darlington, so even if you get loose and sideways, it might not bring out a yellow.
Yeah, and when we say narrow, we mean really narrow. Basically, right here, if you're below that, you can't see it, that line, that dotted white line, striped line, if you're below that, it probably isn't going to throw a caution for you. Normally I would not say, stop the car and try to bring out a caution. That's get your black flag in most racetracks, but you almost have to here because what should bring out a caution typically won't.
Yeah, and so a lot of drivers, they have to make sure that they don't make mistakes. That was kind of the theme I was hearing from a lot of the drivers that are in the playoffs. They were all saying, got to stay consistent, minimize those mistakes, especially here at Darlington, because you can feel consistent and confident for running about the first 30 to 40 laps on a run, and then those final 10 laps before you have to come into pit road, you start to feel a little bit more tighter off exit, getting closer and closer to that outside wall, and one mental mistake can ruin your race in an instant. As I'm watching these drivers back at around 12th position, as that of Stooksbury, Altice, also Breaky and Stamp, these are the 4 drivers that could be potentially being knocked out of the playoffs if they aren't able to move up and have a better consistent run here at the end of this race, because currently they're not doing the best job of those that are in the top 10 of our playoffs drivers.
Yeah, they definitely struggling a little bit here, and actually I say that someone like Altis is struggling. Technically he's not. He actually did not qualify, so he's actually up 2 positions, as well as Stooksbury, who's actually not in the playoffs, or at least not running his banner if he is. But Altus actually going upwards, but you look at Tanner Johnson, Eric Stamp, who's right behind him, who's actually just where he started. He hasn't gained or lost. Yeah, some of these guys definitely need to pick it up. Others, they've picked it up a little bit, like Altus, maybe not so much. And as I talk about Stamp, he decides to pancake the car.
Yeah, that is a hard lick for the 53. That's probably one of the hardest hits you can get, especially coming off the corner, and that's just going to make the car more tighter as he's still brushing up against the wall. And the biggest issue here at Darlington is if you get into the wall coming in the center of the corner, it's kind of like glue on the wall. It keeps your car stuck there until you get off to the exit where you can finally start to rip it off. And once your car starts to get off the corner, you're turning the wheel so far left that sometimes it can launch you into the inside wall. So these drivers have to be careful, especially when they're stuck on the wall through the corners.
Yeah, that 53 obviously sponsored by Taco Bell. Well, he just about made that car a griller. It was flattened down as about as tight as it could get. So hopefully he can recover from that. But as of right now, there's a little battle going on here. There's also a little bit of battle going on for second, but battles far and few between. There's one or two that are good. One that's kind of heating up back for about 12th position with Tyler Stooksbury, but these guys are already, Sam, getting extremely spread out, and that was one thing we were fearful of here for a long race. This we get spread out like this, it's not a race at that point. It's just a Sunday drive.
Yeah, I mean, if you see Braxton DeWeese trying to run down Bronson Stafford, and then back around 8th place, you've got Caleb Smith and Austin Jordan. They're also on top of one another. But, look at this battle that's going for second place. Bronson's got some new sponsors. He's going to have Genshin on there, and I know Bronson loves playing the Genshin game, so he thought, hey, I don't have a sponsor on my car. I'll just put the game on that I love playing.
Yeah, I'm glad that he loves playing the game, but he could have come to us. He could have put LSRTV on the car. We do not have a single LSRTV car in this entire field. We get no love.
No, we don't. Usually if you're running an LSR TV car, you're going to do well for yourself. As the battle for 8th place, Austin Jordan able to make that pass. Is watching that one, but I'm watching at Dyer. He is making me quite concerned off the corner, off of 2. He's been extremely close to that outside wall on exit, and he's had to really pull the car off, which means he's putting a lot more wheel into the machine, which could break him and make him cause to get loose. And also wearing the tires out faster than everyone else around him. Dyer hasn't been known for saving his tires the best out of everyone. He's kind of one of those drivers that's always thrown out a wild card and has had to do a different strategy than most, pitting earlier than everyone else. And I'm interested to see what Matt's going to do today, because throughout the whole entire season, he's had that safety net of, I won Daytona, I'm in the playoffs. He's in the playoffs. He's got to show up, and we're seeing it right now. He's running in 7th. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to make sure he moves on to the next round, except for that. You don't want to hit the wall.
and for anyone that doesn't know, yes, Sam Dyer and Matt Dyer are brothers. If he wrecks, I may give Sam a 2 or 3 minute break to go and thump Matt in the back of the head for wrecking. So I don't think that would go over well for Sam. He may not actually come back, but he may be into on the floor. So I'm not sure how that would go, but y'all are not too far apart, correct?
No, he's on the other side of the house from me. So we're in the same house. So if we ever have internet issues and I drop out, he's probably going to drop out as well. So we are always crossing our fingers and hoping nothing happened. But yeah, I mean, it's always fun. I've watched Matt race in so many different games, and I've seen him race on NASCAR 09 on the Xbox all the way up until he got into iRacing. It's been cool seeing how much he's developed as a racer and how much he's getting more and more consistent. And for the longest time, I'd always say Matt is the most well-known driver that knows how to have a good way of winning, having a fast car, but also knowing how to throw away races, the best of the best at it.
It kind of reminds me of an old, famous to some people, a driver who was born and raised here in my town. That was Lloyd Ruby. And his big thing was he was the most famous driver that had never won the Indy 500. He raced in a lot of races. He raced the Indy 500, but never won it. I was like the winningest driver or something that never won the Indy 500. And they just eluded him, and he passed away just a few years ago. But definitely that comes to mind. Like a well-known driver, but just, those big races and wins just seem to elude him sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting how these drivers are trying to work with one another, as Rex is doing everything he can. As Dyer and Austin Jordan, they both collide. No yellow comes out, but Dyer and Jordan were having issues, and now Dyer is wrecked. And what was looking like a decent day could be over for that team. Also looked like Tyler Stooksbury involved in that one.
Yeah, we're going to go back. We'll see if this can pull up a replay here for the Pulse Poppers. Again, this did not trigger a crash indicator on our overlays or anything like that because of the fact that they were so far below the line here. As we're going to try to find...
it's going to be on Dyer and looks like Jordan. They were the ones who were having the issues. And you're just seeing here, Austin Jordan, he's going to be pressuring Dyer, and not the entry Dyer wanted. Gets into the outside wall and hard into both. And Dyer was already having issues with Jordan before this. On the corner before that incident happened, it sounded like Dyer was having issues with Austin Jordan getting into the wall, almost taking out Dyer before. So the next corner, Dyer was hesitant on how he was going to react. So that's why he had his poor entry, and it cost the 88. And when he was running up in the top 10, his woes have continued on, and this was one of the things that he touched on when I talked to him earlier today. It was, how are you feeling about the playoffs? He said, I just got to be consistent, stay out of trouble, and that was not possible here today.
Yeah, and to Stooksbury, I won't say he was involved that we thought he was. However, he did have to avoid it. So while he didn't get damaged, he did lose some spots in a little bit of time, like you mentioned, because he had to roll up on the brakes a little bit and get down out of the racing surface to avoid all that. So, granted, he didn't get any damage, Sam, but still just as bad because you're going to lose spots having to check up for an event that didn't bring out a caution.
Yeah, I can move up to the battle that's going on for 7th place. This is scary to see, as Austin Jordan has put himself under Caleb Smith, another CEM Motorsports driver, and they've almost taken each other out. Austin Jordan, he looks like he is not afraid to try to make a pass and go side by side through the corners, which is kind of a big no-no when you're here at Darlington. You try to make your passes before you get to the straightaway, so you're not causing both drivers to feel that pressure of one little mistake is going to cost both of your days.
Yeah, and to the point of that 28 machine, he gets in the wall again. I was just about to say he has damage, but still trying to make things happen. Unfortunately, even on a track like this, as he smacks the wall again, and this time he is going to take it to the apron, and he's got heavy damages. Now you can see the whole radiator there and part of the engine. I believe that's a Chevrolet engine. No, yeah, he is. He's running a Chevrolet engine, which would make sense seeing how he's in a Chevrolet.
Yeah, that bump completely ripping apart that front bumper. And yeah, I mean, for Jordan, this is it's continuing to go downhill, and now you're thinking for Austin Jordan and for Dyer, he did not want the day to go like this. They were kind of both hoping for a caution, I think, after their first incident. Now Dyer is going to be going a lap down, first car a lap down. And now the big old question mark of who is going to survive this race at the end of the day. Because if you're a playoff driver, even with a wounded car, you have to continue racing because every point is going to matter if you're going to move on to the next round.
Yeah, every single point counts. And it looks like, actually, no, this is the best battle on track. Stooksbury and Alex Walter at the moment. That is the best battle on the racing surface. But we'll see how that all plays out, and actually just behind them is going to be the next best one. But right now, Joshua Altus, he is up 4 positions, so he was up 2 last time we talked about him, Sam. So he is moving in the right direction, but starting from the rear of this field, not qualifying, maybe it'll work out, but that's a tough battle to go up through the entire field.
Well, I'm liking the way that Altus is attacking this course. He's taking it really slow, and he's not trying to get close to the outside wall, just taking it smooth. And he was around a lot of drivers that were racing hard. That of, Tanner Johnson, Stooks. That of Stamp, and also Brakey. And Brakey, he got into the wall hard about 2 laps ago now. That's causing the 29 to drop back and lose time. And Brakey has kind of been Mr. Consistent. Came in and was one of those drivers, one of the first 2 drivers that did not have a win to lock in because of how consistent he had been. This is, I think for Brakey, he's hoping that the drivers in front of him have just the same issues that Austin Jordan and Dyer had so that he can be stealing a couple of spots for other people's major mistakes.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's really hoping, is let your problems be my benefactor. But we'll see how it is and if it works. But Tyler Stooksbury trying to run down Caleb Smith. And what have we seen? 1 official caution and 4 or 5 unofficial ones that didn't trigger anything. And you got to wonder how many we're going to see. And now we see Matt Dyer coming down pit road as he's going to bring that beaten and battered number 88, not so clean, Mr. Clean machine down pit road.
Yeah, I know for Matt, he's got to be frustrated. This is not the first time that he's had an altercation with Austin Jordan this season. I know after winning at Daytona, starting off the season on such a high, he had about 3 or 4 weeks in a row where he was just being caught up with the 28 at some sorts or other drivers that were in the back. And he did not want his playoffs to start out the way that most of the season has been, being caught up in someone else's issues and then overall him making the big old mistake.
Yeah, and we'll see how long he's on pit road right now. About 15, 16, 17. So clearly he is going to sit there and get some damage repaired. The question is, how much damage does he have to be repaired or not, if he's going to be able to just do optional and come back out. But, at this point, regardless, he's going to go multiple laps down.
Yeah, Shane Tarian, though, I just want to give note, up to 6 seconds is the lead for the 38, who is, if this race goes green, I'm pretty sure Shane Tarian could easily lap the whole entire field. We're not even a quarter away through this race, and Shane he's just pulling away. There's no one else who's going to touch this 38 machine. As long as Shane doesn't make his own mistakes, he should be all right. And for the battle for second place, that is also starting to heat up. As Bronson Stafford, Deweese, they catch up to Robert Kenny, and Kenny's getting loose by Deweese, and Kenny somehow holds on, and nope, there he goes.
And Kenny is just plastering it. There he is. Caution. No. Nope.
Yep,
yes,
there it is.
Finally, the caution is thrown. I was beginning to wonder if that caution was going to get thrown.
Kenny was wiggling back and forth. He tried to save it all the way through the straightaway, and once he crossed the start-finish line, went hard into the wall, and Spencer Hardison had probably one of the biggest oh gosh moments, because that 34 cut right across his nose.
Yeah, we go back because we want to see all of this. This is coming in, and you see right there it starts wiggling loose. He's trying to hang on. He smacks the wall, and then at the end just doesn't work. And I have to venture to say that is going to end his night here. If it hasn't, then that is one tough car for sure.
It hasn't blown up yet, but we know on iRacing, if you don't have a front bumper, there's a chance that you could overheat at some point. Those attempts usually don't go down. They continue to climb up. And, we'll see if Kenny can still the run. As Dyer update for the 88, he's still in pit road trying to get service done. As here comes the rest of the field for their second caution of the day and first pit stop of the day.
First pit stops here, and we'll see how they all go before we step away to a quick commercial break. And we'll see. The big question here, Shane Tarian going to walk into the pits, or drive into the pits, should I say, with the lead. Will he exit with the lead? And how will the restart go? Those are two things we really want to know.
Yeah, and for these drivers, they got plenty of tires to work with. A total of 6 sets in pit road for them to work with, and a total of 7, the ones that they started off with, and then 6 in pit road. So they got plenty of, with tires to work with. But the real question is who's going to have a set left at the end as Tarian gets out and wins off pit road.
He does indeed. And with that note, we will step away here for just a moment, and we'll be right back after a quick little commercial break. And we'll resume racing here on LSRTV at Darlington.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Remake.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The lights are still on the pace car, but we are getting set to go back to green flag racing here momentarily, and tempers of flaring potentially here, Sam, as it is short track racing.
Yeah, Darlington certainly is going to cause a lot of issues for drivers. Is Shane Terrian going to be going all the way down? And he's just going to top off, it looks like, for the 38, which this is kind of an odd call for himself. But, you know, some drivers, they feel like, hey, this could go green for a long ways. I mean, we almost got to green flag pit stops for these drivers, so why not come in, stretch it a little bit further? But now for Shane Terrian, he puts himself in the biggest danger zone, and that's going to be in the back of the pack where you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you here, Sam. I'm questioning that call. You know, Shane's a good driver and all, but not saying anyone in this field is a bad driver. But, well, usually you're in the back for a reason. And that either means you've been involved in something, or, you know, you've just spun out on your own, the car's not handling the way you want it to. And if I'm fast enough to be up front, I do not want to put myself back there with the back markers.
Absolutely not, especially if you know you had a pit stop that was warranting you to be the leader at the start of this race, and you also had over a 6-second lead gap before that caution came out. I don't understand the thought of putting yourself in dirty air for one, and then also the dangers of what if someone gets in the wall in front of you and you got nowhere to go. I mean, that is also a way that some drivers can be involved in these wrecks. We'll find out what the 38 can do as the pace car pulls up. Bronson Stafford, Trent Jump, Spencer Hardison, Braxton DeWeese, and Atlee Gray, your top 5. Green flag on the air as the 61 just takes off like a rocket ship.
Yeah, 61 is off to the races. Trent Jump behind them, followed by Hardison and DeWeese, and those three going to get together just a little bit, and they are stacking them up back here from about second, third, fourth, all the way on, and there goes the 63.
Oh, no!
Oh, he barely, if he would have brought that up the track, we would have seen just a pile up of cars there right in front of these lead pack.
Alex Walter, great save for yourself. Yeah, but just like you said, if he came up, that was one thing that was probably the most terrifying of all the moments, is if he came up, he was taking out at least 5 drivers just because of where he could have possibly ran himself over. As we're watching the battle currently for 4th place, Spencer Hardison, Tom Bourne, and now it's going to be Altus following back in 6th place. The 5, he's coming off the momentum off of last week's win, and he's trying to carry that forward, currently in 6th for that of Altus.
Yeah, he is on the move right now, 9 spots to the good. He is your biggest mover. And meanwhile, Shane Terrian, 28.99. He just ran the fastest lap of this entire race. Meanwhile, you got sparks flying, and not just the ones you see on the car, probably, like you mentioned. So we'll see. And I want to report here that Robert Kinney, he is in the pits, so his night looks to possibly be done. However, we just reported on Matt Tire, he is back out on the track, and Braxton DeWeese just ran a 28.94. He is now the fastest driver in the race.
Yeah, DeWeese is trying to catch up, though. He's a little under a second away from Bronson Stafford and Trenton Jump. Jump right on the back of the 61 of Bronson Stafford, and Jump won back at Kansas. He's trying to get another win, and if you get a win and you race 2 out of 3 races in that round, you are locked in to the next round. So, you know, for a lot of the playoff drivers, this is a great way to make sure that you do not have to worry about Iowa or Talladega in the next 2 races, and just make sure you're locked into the next one immediately.
Well, that is definitely it, and we're getting reports that the 38 did not get fuel on the first stop.
Oh no.
So
that is a major mistake.
Yeah, that is a huge mistake to make, especially being back here right now. So there he is. He is 6 spots down from where he started. He's got Altus in front of him. We obviously know he's the fastest car here on the track. Well, he was anyway, as Braxton DeWeese technically has set the fastest lap of the race as we just passed a quarter of the way. And at the rate we're going, we'll see here, Sam. We have been 53 laps complete there at the line, and we have run 31 minutes on the clock. They might be able to squeeze this in just over 2 hours. I don't know how. When we did a caution-free race, and it took a little over that.
I mean, that's a cute pipe dream you had. But also, with the caution-free race we had before, that was in the ARCA car, so a little bit slower than what these Cup machines can do. So that's why the Cup cars are gaining time and could possibly do this under 2 hours. But I honestly think that is a pipe dream for them to do that, just because of all the green flag pit stops they're going to have to do if we stay green, and also trying to avoid all the carnage that could be around the corner.
Yeah, that's going to be... I'm going to keep my pipe dream there for a few laps anyway. We'll see how the cautions go. Lap 55 of 208 is underway. Regardless, it is a late night here. And take a look if we could. Here it is. From high in the sky in the drone, and unfortunately, apologize, the drone is a little further away than we like him to be, but he got too low at a race the other day and actually hit a car, and we had to tell him to stay further away.
Yeah, you know, luckily drones nowadays, they've got some pretty nice cameras that can zoom in pretty well. So, yes, he's a little bit too far, but, you know, we'll hone that in the future races. But this battle for the lead, it's looking good for Jump. He's doing a great job. And, you know, DeWeese has also been doing a fabulous job for the 15 to close into these drivers. The one thing I'm kind of concerned, though, for DeWeese is that we've seen him be fast, be quick, and one of the drivers that can always be smooth and up front. But he's also known for kind of burning out those tires for being so fast. With the battle for the lead, Jump able to get to the inside quarter panel, but just not able to hold on through the center of the corner. Yeah,
this is the old-fashioned right here. Canada versus... America we got going on for the lead. So what is that, like bacon versus Canadian bacon at this point?
Ham versus bacon.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Canadian bacon is ham, isn't it?
Yeah, it's practically just ham.
I mean, you shouldn't be able to call it Canadian bacon then.
But the Canadians are they're happy people.
They
like their maple syrup. We'll let them have their maple syrup, but when they talk about bacon, I question it most of the time.
Well, I'll let them have them. They've always been friendly to me, especially Bronson Stafford, and well, Logan hates me, I'm sure, but at least Bronson Stafford's been friendly to me. So we'll go with that one. Braxton DeWeese in third place right now. Spencer Hardison on the move, and really Shane Terrian, while he's gained 1 spot, he really hasn't moved up as much as I thought he would in that 38 machine. You know, could this dirty air be affecting him a lot more than we thought it would? As out front, he was a rocket ship. Back in the back, he's more like a sailboat at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's also, the dirty air, yes, is one thing that's causing him not to run as fast, but he is the fastest car on track. He's been consistently running faster than the drivers in front of him, about 1/10, sometimes even more than that. So I'm not going to be surprised if Shane Terrian can easily pass all these drivers and get back up front, but he's got to be careful making these passes, especially with Tom Bourne and Spencer Hardison in front of him. They're kind of close to one another, so if there's not a big enough gap between the two drivers of the 54 and the 9, it could be difficult for Shane Terrian to make this pass. As Tom right on the wall, he's got to be careful, especially if he hits the wall, scrapes it, and there goes Shane Terrian, easily making that pass now.
Yeah, you know, that's exactly what he's doing right now. You know, you can get by these guys the old-fashioned way by just, you know, waiting and just out driving them. But why? We're Darlington. They're going to hit the wall at some point. Just let them hit the wall and then drive by them like they're sitting still, which when they hit that wall, they basically are at that point. So That's what Shane's doing right now. He is letting these guys do their thing. And meanwhile, I don't know if you saw that, but I saw some sparks flying, and that may have been from Hardison scraping the wall.
I think it might have been from Deweese. Both of them have been very close to that outside wall, especially off the exit. So I'm kind of concerned for them, but also Bronson Stafford. He's been running close to the outside wall, and I think he might have scraped it because here comes Jump on the inside. Going to be trying to make a shot, and he's got to be careful. That's the one thing about the entry of Darlington is on both sides of the entries of 1 and the entry of 3 is you kind of aim to enter the corner below the dotted line so your car will shoot up through the center and the apex of the corner so you can get a great launch off. But when you go low and try to go side by side with someone, it can launch you right into the door of the driver you're trying to pass. So it's kind of a toying cost of do you want to put yourself in a spot where you could be wrecking the driver in front of you, or it could be ruining your day.
Yeah, you got to be extra careful. And that's what they're doing right now. He probably almost could have got into him, but he had to let up, and that's exactly what you have to do. You just have to, forfeit it a little bit, give up the spot, and see what happens. Is now Braxton Deweese is in the hunt for Trenton Jump as he made a costly mistake, and it helped Deweese a ton. That battle's going on, though. The closest actual battle on the track is back here with Atlee Gray and Caleb Smith back for 8th position.
Yeah, Caleb Smith and Atlee Gray, both non-playoff drivers, and they're both battling to see who is going to be the one who's going to be the first of the non-playoff drivers who has the best position as the race for the best of the rest of those drivers that were not in the top 12. They get to race for their own kind of playoff championship where there's a little bit of cash money for whoever gets the championship of the best of the rest. It was Tyler Stooksbury last season. We'll see who it will be this season, but right now I think Atlee Gray and Caleb Smith, they have to be the favorites for those that are not in the top 12.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the best of the rest, to be honest. I was always raised in that generation, Sam, where, you battle for the win or top 3 so that you get on the podium. And if you're not there, sorry for your luck. Come back next week or come back next season. I've always been, that's just how I was, born and raised here in the great state of Texas. Whether it's wrong or right, that's just how it was done for me. And I have mixed emotions about the best of the rest.
Yeah, I mean, you got winners and you got losers, and if you're a loser, you're saying you're playing for fun. That's practically what it is.
Yeah, that's essentially what it comes down to, yes. And we'll see here right now as Terrian has caught Hardison, and he is going to try to run him down. And you can see right there, he's trying to size him up already. He's can I make that pass? Maybe not. We'll see. He is definitely sizing him up. And it looks like Hardison's just going to let him by.
Yeah, I think that's, a little bit of respect for Hardison, understanding, hey, I know that Terrian is faster than me. I'm not going to try to challenge and defend this position this early on in a race. We're not even halfway. So why am I going to ruin my race trying to hold off a driver that is way faster than me? I'm just going to let him go, and I'll run my own race. And that's kind of the big thing about Darlington is sometimes you want to race other drivers and try to catch up to them, run hard. But here at Darlington, you kind of have to just race the racetrack and have your own little battle, and then by the end maybe you'll be up front, other times you'll be in the middle of the course, but if you wreck out, you're going to be in last place. So make sure you focus on yourself and make sure you're there at the end.
Yeah, and I want a full disclosure of this real quick here as we're on lap 70. If by lap 80 or so you do not hear me respond, that is probably because my mother and father have come in here and beat the living tar out of me because I got a text message asking me, what do you want for dinner? We'll order, and because it is a holiday, it's Mother's Day, we're gonna order out, and I responded back, food.
That's a great answer, though.
You right?
Never know when food is going to be. Food is always a great answer. As we're seeing this battle that's going on for 8th place, it's been Smith and Gray. They've been battling hard with one another, and because of how hard they've been challenging, they've been losing time on the drivers in front of them, but giving space and time for Logan Brakey to now add another mix. As Gray goes to the inside, this is a scary spot. Smith's got to be careful coming off the corner, and Gray gives plenty of space for both of them to get through, but here comes Brakey.
Yeah, Brakey tried to, and ooh, the 96 of Gray shuts that door. Let's go back to Logan Brakey. Let's go on board here in that roll bar cam of him, and this is what he sees in front of him at the moment. Oh, and wow, is that a wicked loose there from Caleb Smith.
Yeah, Smith does not feel comfortable, especially because he's not entering in as hard as he wants. He kind of wants to take a lot more of a curved entry and start high, go low type of a corner. Gets hard in the outside wall. Gray gets loose. They're 3 wide for a second, and just like that, he'll take 2 for 1 for Logan Brakey.
And talk about best seat in the house, reviewing that one on board with Brakey as it all goes down, and that one is done. We'll see. That battle's still not done, but I think that 12 is just not handling enough that it's really not going to matter. I think the 96 of Atlee Gray is going to pull away from him, so we'll jump up to this battle going on for, oh, well, it was a battle. Now it's, oh, man.
That is a very hard lick for the 46. You do not want that type of hit into the wall, as that is going to lose him time. But also, I think that might have hurt DeWeese more than anything, as now he has to back off. Tyrion makes the pass for 3rd place, and somehow Jump's able to keep his speed up even with that clobber.
Yeah, and I don't know how this happened, but it was a very minute when I saw the 38 of Shane got loose coming out of the corner and still made the pass on the 15 of Braxton DeWeese. So there is a lot, and I mean absolute lot of stuff going on here right now in this race. I mean, between people getting loose and saving it, battles being going on, there is a lot of action on this track. Not a whole lot going on at this very second, as this is the closest battle. But again, this is 2 chase drivers, 2 playoff drivers battling for 3rd position.
Yeah, our top 8 all playoff drivers, and you know, we're going to be closing it down. We're going to go from 12 down to 8 in 3 weeks. So you got to really focus up on those that are in the top 8. They're doing everything they can, get the maximum amount of points that they possibly can get for themselves, so they are poised and ready for whenever Talladega comes around. Well, that race, it could really, who knows who's going to win it, but it's a big question of who's going to still survive after the end of Talladega.
Yeah, it definitely, Talladega's going to be a changer. Iowa, then Talladega, you know, it makes you wonder who in the world came up with a schedule. If you're going to go to Darlington, Iowa, and Talladega, it's almost like you just rolled some dice with track names on them, and that's what came out.
Yeah, I mean, you've got that of, you know, Darlington is so difficult at times. Iowa, multi-group, short-track racing. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I know Shane Tarrant, he's excited for that. It's a course where he can be very quick. And then Talladega, it's just one of those wild card super speedway tracks where anyone could win. And for a lot of the drivers I was talking to, you know, today, trying to get a thought of all 12 drivers, all of them said, stay consistent at Darlington and Iowa so you set up for Talladega so you don't get yourself in trouble. And some of them had Talladega circled up as this might be my must win if I'm going to be making it on to the next round, which I know for Dyer, he said that this could be, you know, Talladega has to be a must win type of opportunity. For Tyler Stooksbury, he might not even be there for that race, so he needs to have good runs. We're currently in 15th place, not looking good for the 19, and Eric Stamp, he's had good runs at Talladega before. So some of these drivers that are further back in the points and standings for this race, their seasons might not be over in the playoffs, but it is going to be a difficult road to make it into the top 8.
That is going to be a very difficult road. You know, I have to point out here as Caleb Smith just pulled it into the pits. And, you know, this is virtual racing. We try not to, we try to pretend it's not, but it is. I just see, excuse me, Caleb Smith jumped into the pits is what it says, which indicates to us on timing and scoring that he did not drive it into the pits. That he actually jumped into his pit stall. So looks like, unfortunately, Caleb Smith, night that was already down the flusher, it is going even worse for him as he's on there for 35 seconds now. So that is definitely unfortunate. We have right now, looks like 4 drivers technically out of this race: Smith, Dyer, Kenny, and Huff.
Yeah, Dyer's still just running and cruising laps, just trying to get as many positions as possible. For Smith, though, I rewatched what happened, and it's a similar thing that we saw during the Northwest Series, is drivers coming into pit road and finding the barrels right before pit entry, and it looks like that's exactly where the 12 went. He was having a great run, running around 7th and 8th for most of this race, but he officially DNFs for Caleb Smith, and he'll be our second DNF of the day, as Ryan Huff was also done.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for him. As someone we haven't mentioned in a few laps now, that is Bronson Stafford. He is out front right now, leading this race. And that little minute mistake of not putting any fuel in the car from Shane Terrian definitely, it's cost him. And yes, I think he'll eventually get back to the front, but if it's not in time for, if we go to pit stops before Shane can catch up to Stafford, that little tiny mistake could potentially just change the entire outcome of this race, as Atlee Gray going to have issues as well. He has crashed, but no caution comes out.
Yeah, Atlee Gray, another one of those non-playoff drivers having issues and back in 13th place. But for Shane Terrian, I mean, that last lap, he was a half a second faster than Bronson Stafford and continues to be a lot faster than the 61. And I think another issue for Bronson is he's catching up to lap traffic, which is costing him time, as Tanner Johnson is not gifting the position. And oh my goodness, he's now going to be in the way of Shane Terrian. The 23 needs to just get off the course, because he is a hazard at the moment for our leaders.
Oh, and he almost, he does.
He take out Dyer. He takes out one of the playoff runners. Tanner Johnson, the wrecking ball, takes out one of our playoff contenders.
And we'll go back and take a look at that one, as almost getting into two drivers and then collects Matt Dyer, who was, the day wasn't going great, but he was still trying to hang on to some points that he had. And you'll see right here, the 23, Tanner Johnson, into the outside wall, locks up the brakes to get off. 38 just makes it, just moves, try to get out of the way. And right here, gets into the wall and just clobbers the 88.
DeWeese somehow gets through. Oh my goodness.
The good news, the underlining good news here, if you are the 23, at least you got Affleck on the car.
Yeah, I don't think the 23 has had any friends anymore. That is for sure, after that type of a move. I mean, he was obviously putting himself in a difficult scenario, and with Darlington, there's no real easy place to put yourself as a lap car to get out of the way, except for just go to the apron and move. And that is a difficult call, but you almost took out two other playoff contenders, and you took out the third that was there, as now pit stops are underway. I think for Tanner Johnson, he's got to rethink how he's going to attack this course if he's going to be doing that all race.
And remember, if you were here back in the day when we covered the Adrenaline iRacing League, this rule is still in place. We've heard rumors that it's going to get flushed away at the end of the season, but it is here as of now. And that is that rule, of course, where if somebody irks you, makes you mad, just flusters you and gets you irritated, you can wreck them as long as no other driver is involved in it. We won't say that anything Tanner did was intentional, but say Matt Dyer's not happy about it. Per their rules, he could take him out as a little bit of a payback for it. And as long as no other driver is involved, there are no consequences for it. Personally, I've told them I do not like this rule. I think it is a completely and utterly bad rule. I've told them this multiple times, and they are going to be removing it at the end of the season. From what we've heard, I can't confirm that, but it is still in play for this 2021 season.
Yeah, I was reading some of the rules that they have, and there's some rules that are kind of head scratchers. I mean, that's one of them. Also, another one is intent wrecking someone after the race. I think that is an okay thing. Race is over. You're not hurting anyone else. But if you intent someone after the checkered flags have been waved, you actually can be suspended for a race. And I think that's, let the drivers get some aggression out after the race is over.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Getting from frustration out is definitely a good thing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather let the drivers get frustration out, after the race is over, instead of it being something that's talked about throughout the week until the next race comes around. So, don't have too many arguments, but another caution goes around in the question of who's going to be out front, and that is going to be Spencer Harkison. Surprised to see Shane Terry. It looked like he had some damage, had to get repaired, as well for Bronson Stafford. So, practically everyone has had some type of damage during this race now. And now the question is, we had the question, who's going to survive with no damage? No one after that stint of racing.
Yeah, and these guys are making my pipe dream look more like a nightmare. As we are 51 minutes in, we're 88 laps in, so we are still on point for a 2-hour race. Again, it has to be just because they're moving a little bit faster speed-wise than the ARCA cars did. So that is one thing that I didn't account for. But I honestly also was taking into account. I know how these cars handle. I know how this track, what the update is. I did not expect us to have as few cautions as we did. I honestly figured we would have more multi-car wrecks, Sam. We've really haven't seen that. They've been self-spins. I figured those spins would lead to collecting other cars.
Yeah, I think the only, we saw Spencer, and we didn't see Spencer. We saw Dyer, get involved with multiple cars, and really we've only seen 2 of those multi-car incidents. It's green flag in the air, but now we're seeing drives on issues and calamity. This was something we saw on the Northwest Series, and it carries over. Poor restarts, tire spinning, and carnage for most of the field in the back.
And that is exactly what we were talking about. And we got Braxton DeWeese, Trent Jump, and Logan Brakey involved in this one as we take a look at the Pulse Poppers instant replay here. And we'll see exactly what happened. And, we don't even have to see. We know what happened. And that is spinning of the tires, and, chaos broke loose after that.
Yeah, Logan Brakey, he was the initial driver that spun his tires, and then for Braxton DeWeese, he just got so overeager, forced it 3 wide when you're really not supposed to go 3 wide, and no one had any space. Calamity everywhere, as you're going to be seeing here on this restart. You're going to see the green 29 get into the outside wall, and DeWeese tries to force himself, but everyone is wheel spinning it. That it's one of those things of, if you're just patient and you wait for the car in front of you to take off, you'll be good instead of taking off when you see those green lights.
Yeah, that's definitely unfortunate, as some reason our go back to live button not wanting to work, so we'll have to go over there. There we go. And a few drivers obviously coming down pit road, and now we have a few more drivers that have damage and could be potentially out of this race. It looks like they're waiting on the pace car, so we see 1 or 2 more of those incidents on track, and we're going to be struggling for some cars.
Yeah, and I think for some drivers, they'll be excited to see that. I think for Matt Dyer, he was not involved in that thing, so he was hoping to see more drivers be officially taken out of that. But I think for a lot of those guys, luckily they were still going so slow, and the pace speed that the damage that they were getting wasn't as big as it could have been. But certainly a lot of damage. They're going to have to get that repairs done. With no fast repairs, they're going to be in pit road for a while.
Yeah, they are going to be there for quite some time. And, we have this brand new fast repair thing that lets us see how many fast repairs they have, how many they've used. But when you don't have any fast repairs, the new feature doesn't get used tonight.
No, gotta wait until Monday night to see that one. Tomorrow night's gonna be fun to see that new implementation of seeing the fast repairs, especially with the different series that do have fast repairs that allow drivers to have that reset. And for those leagues that don't, they try to make it a little bit more realistic, and it is a quick way to get a lot of drivers DNFing out of a race.
Yeah, it definitely is. So again, something we'll definitely check and see. And we have this other new thing. I know you can see it on the timing score on your end, where it tells you their tire compound. Obviously NASCAR runs a soft tire compound, but on my end, I'm not sure if it shows it on yours. I can see qualifying tire compound as well, and you can see there's blanks on our end for like Altus, Stewksbury, Johnson, and Huff. Those are the guys. We do not have a registered tire compound because they didn't qualify. So that is just some of the new features that ATVO is pumping out here as much as they can, as well as SDK Gaming. So we use multiple softwares to make all of this happen, and they are constantly advancing the information that we have, which makes our job a lot easier, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, with having that information, maybe we should look into some F1 or IndyCar racing.
Oh, definitely. We have some days open. Tuesdays are completely open right now. Thursdays are open as well. Those two particular days, if you have an IndyCar league, a Formula One, road course racing, we don't have a whole lot of that on here. Definitely, if it's a multi-car like IMSA style, where you got GT2, GT3, LMP, if you have a series like that, and you can afford to get it broadcasted, because obviously, we do charge, but hit us up on Facebook. Get a hold of Jeff Stabnow here at LSRTV. We don't have that here. We do have the capability of covering it. We just don't have any, and would love to talk to you and see if we can't get you here on the channel, as I'd love to be able to utilize all the components we have.
Oh, it is exciting. I know I've done a couple of IndyCar series previously, and it is always fun to see drivers just throwing those machines all over the course, going 3, 4, sometimes 5 wide at almost every course they go to. And it'd be fun to get some open wheel racing here on LSR TV, especially in 4K action. It'll be fun for all the racing action. But pace car pulls off as we're coming to the start of lap 93. We're almost halfway. And we're inching closer and closer, and we are past an hour marker, so it's going to be a fun one here. Green flag in the air for Spencer Hardison.
Yeah, we are inching closer, and right there, 57:33 is the official race time. We've been live a little bit longer than that. We've been on air about an hour 16, but 57:45 now for the race time. We are coming up on the halfway point here very soon, and that battle for the lead is on right now. So there goes Terry into the front, Hardison, Stafford, Walter, and Jump, your top 5 so far. In, well, let's be honest, Terrian took that lead like it was nothing.
Yeah, I think Terrian understanding, hey, he's going to be one of the fastest cars, especially with the Weiss taking damage and that of Jump getting damage. Terrian is the fastest machine, and Bronson Stafford are going to be the second fastest as they continue to pull up. Alex Walter, he is in a scary spot as the Weiss going to have to figure out how to get by, and Will on the inside. And now Tom Bourne, he's going to figure out how to get by Alex Walter, but Walter is kind of being a roadblock and also a hazard for a lot of the drivers in the middle of the field.
Yeah, that is exactly what's happening right now. And again, this battle's going on. You got another little battle as the fastest lap of the race was just set by Terry in 28.63. He got a little bit of clean air, and he said, I'm going to take y'all to the cleaners. And he just speeded up. And then yellow in the back, as you mentioned. And we'll see who it's triggered for. We'll take a look. And
Austin Jordan. Hard into the wall for the 28, still having issues for himself. Also looked like Altus involved. And this is a scary spot. Dyer somehow was able to get through, as we'll see here on your Pulse Poppers instant replay.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here because the yellow flag was thrown, but yet scoring and timing did not trigger a actual yellow force, so or who was involved in it. So that's going to be interesting to see, as we know Austin Jordan, that 28 machine, was involved. Just what happened is the question.
Yeah, I believe this was an admin called caution, as we're going to be seeing the 28 trying to go on the outside, passing that of Breaky, and also going to get by Stewksbury, and he's going to go hard into the outside wall and overcorrects, and the 5 has nowhere to go, and 88 splits it through the middle. That is a hard contact, especially for Jordan, who is had already knows issues before, and it is going to continue on with these woes as more drivers actually coming into the pits.
Yeah, and we'll get to those pits and let you know if any mistakes were made, anything like that, right after a quick commercial break.
Every customer, every single time, needs to get our very best. From moment one, my goal managing a team here in the dealership is to make sure that that customer's experience is the very best that they've ever had. We expect and demand total transparency. There should never be a time in that transaction where the customer is wondering or not quite sure of what they're buying or what they're paying or those sorts of things. And having that transparency and doing things the right way is super important.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and it looks like Jordan going to be sitting on the pits as he will now roll out. Trenton Jump is your race leader. Sam had to step away here just for a moment. We won't lock the door and we'll let him back in, but he will be here momentarily, so we'll just wait for him to get back. But right now we are in lap 98 of 208. We have 111 laps to go, and I do hear the door to the booth opening, and I believe Sam is back in the booth with us, as I believe he went to the concession stand real quick.
A little bit of food and talk about needing some energy for these drivers. For us, we can take a little bit of a break with commercial breaks, but for these drivers, it is constantly going. And while I was thinking about it, we've said long so many times for this race. I wonder if someone's going to go back and try to make how many times we've said that as a counter, because this is a very long race.
Yeah, they should. We'll see how many times we can say long here. And if anybody doesn't get the reference to how many times we said long in this race, all you need to do is go back and watch the movie Super Troopers. and to the reference of meow. They literally try to see how many times he can say meow to a guy when they're pulling him over. Well, we're going to go that. We're going to see how many times we can say the word long, and if anybody wants to actually cut this race up, then by all means do it. But don't ask me to help you, because that's too much work.
Oh yeah, way too much work. So we do not get paid for that, but you can get paid with experience by doing that yourself.
Definitely, you can pay yourself with the experience to do it, but it's not coming out of my pay. So, that being said, the lights are off, and right now it is the 53 and the 46 that are on that front row. We already see we've seen one colossal boo-boo at the restart. Will we see another one here this time, or will we see one period in this race is the question.
I think it's really high that we might see another incident here. I mean, cautions do breed cautions, especially with our front six, on slightly, I mean, they're not old tires, but older than everyone else, is very high potential. As pace car rolls off, we'll see if they're able to hold on. As it's going to be Trenton Jump, Eric Stamp up front, and Jump takes off. The rest of the field, they take off very gingerly, understanding that last wreck was huge.
Yeah, and they definitely get a better start, but we're going to watch this battle right here. This group of cars, Brakey almost getting into the outside wall, and we'll see how it all goes down. But they get single file, and that's what they need to do. But here comes the 38 of Terrian as he officially starts lap 100. We are 109 laps to go. This race winding down here. We'll see. Again, we've been going on an hour and a half on air, so I think we're definitely going to go past that 2-hour mark, and racing has been underway for about an hour and 4 of that.
Yeah, and watching some of the drivers, especially with us being going for over 100 laps now, these drivers, we're starting to see a different amount of drivers with different strategies being thrown out. I mean, Eric Stamp, one of the guys that we've been seeing back in 12th, 13th position all race long, now in second, being pressured by Tom Bourne. But this race we've been seeing in front of us, these are the guys that are from 7th on back. Ronson Stafford trying his best. The same with Deweese. They're just feeling boxed in, not really able to get by. That a Brakey.
Yeah, Brakey definitely, we'll see if he's holding them up right now. The 61, we know he's fast. He's going to dip to the inside now of Brakey. And Brakey getting way sideways, almost completely turned that car around, but somehow hangs on to it, but he will lose at least 2 spots.
Yeah, Logan Brakey would have, if he had about 5 to 6 lap older tires, he probably would have gotten to the outside wall. Luckily, he had enough grip there. But Brakey is actually upset by that pass that Bronson made. But Brakey, probably one of the hardest drivers to get by. Adley Gray gets a little bit out of sorts in front of Spencer Hardison and Logan Brakey. But Brakey certainly breaks some hearts with the ways that he is very defensive on not letting drivers get by him. And some other drivers, they have to make some reckless moves if they want to get by the 29, and the 29, not a fan of how Bronson got by.
Yeah, he definitely not a fan of it for sure. As we'll keep an eye. This is the best battle on the track. Terry and trying to run down the 53 of Eric Stamp. Bourne and Trump just ahead of them by a little bit. Not a whole lot, as they can see them in their mirror. And I want to go on board with Terry. And this is what Terry is seeing right now from his perspective. Of course, a little bit over. We're on the roll bar and not on his helmet. And he's thinking Taco Bell needs to deliver themselves out of the way, as he almost gives them a shot as he goes by.
Let's live Moss, not live wrecked, as they are able to get by one another, and Terry able to make the pass. And I think for Tom Bourne, who's in second place, that's his next driver that Shane Terry's going to go after. He might be asking, he's going to be asking for an ultimatum for sure. Just, hey, let's try not to be too reckless here. Hey, we used to be teammates, and let's not ruin each other's races, as there is a second 1.2 seconds difference between the 54 and the 38 for that battle for second place.
Yeah, the battle for a second, and we'll see. There's a little bit here. This is now the closest battle. You've got looks like Walter, Stafford, and DeWeese going to be, and these are the three that got around Brakey a little while ago, and now they are moving their way through this field. But I have a feeling right there, the 61 is quite a bit faster than Alex Walter, and he's going to prove it right here as he goes by, almost scraping the wall though.
Oh, DeWeese might send it 3 wide. He is the only driver I think that would possibly think about going 3 wide in that type of instant. But Alex Walter, he's going to be running low, which is going to be pushing him up on the exit of this corner. Got to watch out for DeWeese and Hardison, as Walter just fully backs out of the corner and not going to be pressuring the 15 or the 9.
Yeah, he is definitely made a smart move there. Again, you've got to be very conscious of the cars around you, because these cars break loose so much. By the way, we are going to be 100 to go when we get to the line. 100 laps to go left in this race. Still a lot of racing left to go. I honestly don't know how this race is going to go. We could see several more cautions, or we could see some long green flag runs.
Oh yeah, no, it's easily can be both. I mean, it's crazy because we've seen how these drivers can go green for about 30 laps, and we've seen them wreck under 15 laps of running. And I think the biggest thing when we are able to go green, it's when drivers are respecting one another and understanding, hey, the guy behind me is much faster, they've got fresher tires, I'm just going to let you go. And when drivers are just are not being really giving and are all just taking the spaces that they can, it causes to where there's misunderstandings, where drivers are going to be trying to go put themselves in the same spot, which is going to cause calamity. And that's what's brought out a lot of these cautions here today.
Yeah, it has definitely contributed to some of them as this battle is underway. These two, the 54 and the 38, Tom Bourne and Shane Terry, and they are duking it out. And these guys, we know a lot of these drivers, are like myself. They're skipping not I can't even think of the word, not to their mother's pleasure for sure, and Mother's Day stuff here, their grandmother stuff, and that's where it really comes into, as grandmothers, mothers, stuff like that. They're missing that to be here to race, so they definitely want to have a good race, and that's what's probably pushing somebody like Terry or Bourne, Stafford, to get a good finish, because you're already missing Mother's Day. You might as well be out here and get a good finish.
I mean, you also got to think about the fan favorite, Braxton DeWeese. I mean, his family watching week after week, every race that Braxton's in. He's got a fan base running in 5th place. kind of damaged, just like Tom Bourne was damaged in that restart calamity. So they're trying to do their best to move forward as much as they can. But I got to give credit to to Jump and Bourne for staying out. They did not pit under that last caution. They went with track position, which it's kind of been a little bit of a net gain for how long we've been able to stay green.
Yeah, it definitely is a net gain, and Jump is out front. He has not been out front all day until now in that 46 machine, and he's had his own own fair share of troubles in this race getting loose. The question is, how much longer can he hold on to that lead with Shane Terrian behind him? As Shane is definitely coming. He got a little loose there coming out of the corner, but when you've got a fast car and it, if you're the 46, that 38's coming. Do you even remotely hold him off, or do you just save your tires and let him go and maybe be able to run him down, or use pit strategy to get back by him again?
I think for Jump, once he sees Terrian right on his back bumper, just let him go. Don't try to pressure yourself and try to save those tires. If you battle, the more wear and tear you're going to get. And for Jump, he's actually running slightly faster than Tom Bourne. Slightly faster than Bronson Stafford, and DeWeese is coming with that esteem. But Jump's been doing a pretty good job keeping his pace up, even with the old tires. He's running about 2/10 slower, even though he's got a little bit, 9-8 laps older tires than the drivers behind him. He's doing a great job, but I think you should give up this position. Don't try to pressure to hold on to it, because ultimately it could cost you in making a mistake if you're trying to battle someone, especially through these corners.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to be the one. Again, memory of a race car driver is very short. Unless it is, hey, you wrecked me, or you got my way, you cost me something I needed. In that case, they're very long and you remember a lot of stuff. So you've got to do what you have to do to just be conscious of that, especially in playoffs. If you make a move that hurts a playoff driver, they're going to get you the next week. I can almost promise you that.
Yeah, talking to some of these guys, I talked to all the playoff drivers with, for Trent and Jump. He told me, it's like, I'm going to try to do everything I've done all year long. Just try to get the points that I can, get in the final four. That is the ultimate goal, and then fight for the championship then. But, for today at Darlington, just survive. He's kind of felt a little scared, not too worried, but, he understood this track is very tough, has to be conservative at times, but he's doing a great job defending that of a 38 that has been looking so strong all day.
Yeah, he has definitely been doing great, and we'll see right there. Again, we hate to stick with one battle for too long, but this battle is underway, and this is the battle for the lead. These guys earn the right to be on your TV screen right now. So, and as they earn, there he goes to 38. We knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time, and I really think that 38 of Shane Terrian has the fastest car on track overall. So if somebody is going to win like Jump, Stafford's been up there. He's got a fast car. Braxton DeWeese has got a fast car. They're going to have to pull some kind of trickery, mind games, strategy, something to get by. And keep in mind, we only have 90 laps to go. That seems like a lot, but it's actually going by very quickly.
Yeah, these drivers have been doing a great job, especially with this long green flag run they've been having. For Shane Terrian, though, I think he's the ultimate favorite coming to the end of this race, just because you look at his car, it is one of the cleanest ones out here. I think Bronson Stafford also has a pretty clean car, but, early in this run, it was Shane Terrian that was pulling away, had over a 6-second lead at the start of this race when we had our first about 20-30 lap run. And he's just been trying to continue on with that pattern. There's been times where we've seen the 38 get into the wall, scrape it, get his Darlington stripes. But we've seen everyone have that type of an issue. And I think at this point, it's hope that you don't make the bigger mistake. And for Shane Terrian, it's don't ruin your race by making your own mistake. Stay consistent, stay confident, and understand that this car could get loose at any point and also can tighten up at any point.
Yeah, it definitely could. So you have to be very, very conscious of that, and they're doing a fantastic job so far. We do have one coming down the pits. That's Eric Stamp in the 53. Well, let's see if this is a strategy call. He's got some damage, so it's going to make it a little difficult, but they've been around on the track of anywhere from 24 to 35 laps, so this may be a scheduled stop, Sam.
Yeah, Eric Stamp, one of those drivers of our top 6 on our last restart that decided to stay out and actually had some of the oldest tires out there. So I'm not surprised that Stamp's coming in. This looks to be a scheduled stop. And with the timing of him coming in, actually, he's just going to drive on through. Did not even stop. So he might have, I'm going to take a look back. There was a chance that the 53 might have bounced off the wall and actually sent him into pit road, or possibly a penalty of some sorts for the 53. As, I think it might have been a penalty.
Yeah, and I did notice he was kind of weaving back and forth going down pit road like, la, 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 just going to drive through pit road. So, definitely very interesting there. They just drove it through pit road. It'll be very interesting to see on that as we watch this battle starting to brew between Bronson Stafford as well as Trenton Jump and Braxton DeWeese in that battle as well. So 3-car battle for second place at the moment, but yeah, definitely interesting there down on pit road.
Yeah, I believe that it was a penalty for Eric Stamp. He had a drive-through penalty for himself. Was not a hold penalty, so luckily wasn't losing too much time. I think that might have been a penalty that he got during the restart, and finally was like, hey, I can't stay out here any longer. Might as well just come in and do my penalty and serve it now. And, looking at this battle for second place, Bronson Stafford, Braxton DeWeese, they've been cruising through traffic together. And I'm wondering here in the next about 5 laps after Bronson can somehow get by that of Trenton Jump, will Braxton have fresher tires than Bronson? He's been following the 61, allowing him to make all the difficult passes, and all the 15 had to do was just follow suit. And that means that you're not really using your tires as much because those other drivers having issues. And just like that, Jump giving up both those positions, and Hardison about to follow suit as Braxton goes high. He has to back out. Jump's going to get right back into the throttle as they're side by side coming off the corner.
Yeah, this is where you get really scary going side by side like this. Is you just have to be careful. You cannot get into that outside wall right there. That is the mistake you have to be careful of.
Yeah, and I think for Braxton there, I think he was expecting the 46 to still be on his side, and that's why he did not enter as low as he possibly could have on the entry of that corner, which, because the tires are so worn, is tightening up, and it's sending his car up into the outside wall.
Yeah, and it's just little mistakes. The little mistakes like that can really cost you in this race, especially down towards the end, as it's maybe going to cost him a spot from Spencer Hardison. We'll have to keep an eye on it and see, as just like that, we're already on lap 127 to 208, an hour and 17 minutes. We at the rate we're going, Sam, we might finish this in under 2 hours of actual racing time.
Yeah, we finally get to stay a little bit green here, but I'm looking at some of these top contenders and drivers that pitted on that last restart. We're starting to see them get a little loose off the corner, and this is around the time that we saw after our first long green flag run, drivers getting loose and coming off the corner and bringing it out of caution. So fingers crossed that we stay green and somehow we get green flag pit stops. But I'm also kind of concerned because some of those drivers that were loose and having issues earlier on in the race, they're starting to look loose once again.
Yeah, they are definitely starting to be a little loose in these cars. Again, the cars handle the way they want to begin with. They're not the setup they're used to. The league really letting these drivers have a little bit of a leniency here. As we heard earlier, this is they did not have a fixed set for this track that actually handled worth a, well, you know what. But they put in an open set and said, do not touch this setup. You cannot change it. That is a lot of self-policing on the driver's behalf to trust that these drivers are not touching this car in any way.
Yeah, I know a lot of leagues that, have to kind of have self-checkouts and self-checks of, hey, are you guys actually doing what we asked you to do? And I think there might be a lot of question marks of, do we need to look over that 38 machine? Because, looking at his fastest time compared to the rest of the field's fastest time, he's 4/10 faster, and it is incredible that Shane Tarian is that much faster, but we did notify at the start. He is back on his controller where he feels the most comfortable, and he is doing a great job. Also, something that I heard from Shane, I think it was about 2-3 weeks ago, is he feels like he is at his best is when the track is uncomfortable for everyone else. When everyone else is not feeling comfortable and they're trying to figure out the track, that's when Shane feels like he can dominate races. And coming into today, everyone did not feel comfortable about Darlington, and I think that's what made Shane Tarian the favorite coming into this race.
Yeah, you're always, the only thing I think of when I hear Shane say, well, I feel pretty good when they feel pretty bad. I'm sure he don't talk like that, but, when I hear that, the first thing that comes to mind, Sam, is the old saying, picture them in your underwear. That, when they're uncomfortable, you feel more comfortable.
Oh yeah, for some people that works. For me, I think that makes me a little bit more uncomfortable. Do I really want to think of people in their underwear?
I can tell you this right now. I know a lot of my friends in real life, and here on sim racing, and I know a lot of more guys than I do girls, and even some of the girls, I would be freaking out more if I saw them in their underwear. So I don't know if that would actually help me at all.
No, I don't think so. I think I'd rather just close my eyes.
Yes,
Picture that.
Just close my eyes and go with it. It's I think we're good to safe there, but battles, not so much. This is the closest battle right here between Artisan and Deweese. We have had a long enough green flag run, and by far the longest green flag run we've had so far. And as we kind of feared would happen, they are starting to get spread out. So, you almost need a caution at this point. They were going to throw the competition caution if we had less than 15 drivers halfway to kind of break it up and also, give us a little break. But they didn't. We actually told them, don't do that. That's just going to delay the race. Let these guys race it out. But right about now, some of these guys definitely, I think, need a caution to get back into this.
Yeah, some of those drivers, that's going to be Trent Jump, Tom Bourne, Logan Brakey, Alex Walter, and then as well that of Atlee Gray. They are kind of in a I need of caution, or I'm going to have to pit here within 5 to 10 laps, because they have been out there for 45 laps on these tires and fuel. And, there was a caution in between when they last came into pit road. So they were able to save some, some fuel and a little bit of rubber. But with this long of a green flag run, they're losing time, and they really need to get that rubber back in. And otherwise, they're going to have to pit here shortly. And we've seen when you start to see drivers swapping in and out on when they're going to be coming to pit road and fresher tires versus old, the calamity a little bit rises on who's going to wreck.
Yeah, it definitely does. And no surprise we see Shane back out front, followed by Stafford. But look at this. There's the difference. Let's go to the drone cam again. There is second, third, and fourth. We said there's no battles going on, but this is a potential for a good battle right here if these guys get together. You sit there, Sam, I'm sure you watch the weather sometimes, and you have those clouds that you're looking at the sky and you go, that looks like it could cause a bad storm or a good storm if you like watching, weather. This right here is the makings of a good storm, a good battle, if these three can get together.
Yeah, and really looking at the times and how the drivers are closing up on one another. Tarian's also looking like he's starting to slow down his tire rubber. I mean, he really had to work to get by Trenton Jump, and that hurt Shane Tarian. And looks like Bronson Stafford's trying to close in. Braxton Deweese trying to close in. And Braxton, he's also clobbered the wall a couple of times on this green flag run, which is now bringing Hardison into the mix of things. So about to be a 4-horse race for the win here as we get closer and closer to green flag pit stops.
Yeah, it definitely is getting that way. It's just a matter of time before it happens.
Battle going on in ninth place. Atlee Gray and Altus making contact as Atlee Gray gets into the 5, pushing him into the outside wall. As we continue to watch this battle going on, luckily they're all able to go straight, but damage to the 5.
It's just unfortunate. It's Atlee having a not so good night here tonight in that 96 machine. And right behind them, you got a good little battle going on, although it's not for position.
No, it's not for position, but great racing action. Right when we switched, I saw the 23 of Tanner Johnson. He was getting passed by second through fourth and almost got into Spencer Hardison. So that would have been very tough for 23, a potential of almost taking out another CEM Motorsports driver of Spencer Hardison, but luckily didn't happen. But for lap traffic, they've got to be careful not to be ruining each other's days.
Yeah, you definitely have to be careful. As it really comes down to it. You have to be careful on the track. These guys, they're racing so close. Again, we've talked about how just this track, ever since the update, it has been wicked loose. And unfortunately, you've seen the aspect of how it's got some of these guys, all sorts of messed up tonight. Hopefully, your playoff drivers can make a good comeback. If you have a bad night here, Sam, and you're down in the points, what do you got to do coming into the next 2 races?
You got to run consistent. You got to be thinking big picture for a lot of these races. I think for a lot of drivers, they knew Darlington was going to be tough. But, for some, they might be so much in the hole. For Matt Dyer, Eric Stamp, and also for Austin Jordan, they might be thinking, hey, we might have to be doing something completely off books, a different strategy than what everyone else is doing to possibly get a better finish or even a win at Iowa. And then for Talladega, it's kind of cross your fingers and hope for the best that you're up front, and hopefully you're not involved in the big one. The Talladega is going to be the hardest race, but also the biggest race for a wild card for one of those drivers outside of the top 8 in points going into that race for a chance to win to get in to the top 8 in the round of 8 in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely you want to make it to the round of 8, but you got to get through the round of 12. And we talked about it a little while ago. You're looking again at tracks like Iowa coming up, Talladega, Iowa. Maybe you can somewhat finagle your way through there and try to do what you can, but Talladega, all bets are off on that track. You really just are there to survive.
Oh, fully. I mean, surviving is probably the biggest way to really name that the course. It is all about survival. And with no fast repairs, all these drivers have to be thinking, I cannot be caught up in this thing. So I'm expecting, half of the field that feels like, hey, I need points, such as a Logan Brakey. And I know for Logan, his goal is, once he comes to Talladega, is be up front for most of that race and try to be the leader. If you're leading at Talladega, you've got a good shot at leading the most laps, and you're trusting the drivers behind you not to turn you. And then also other drivers going to have the strategy of staying back, not being involved in any wrecks, as we're watching this battle for third place between DeWeese and Spencer Hardison. But I think for a lot of drivers, we're going to see that swap up of half of the field going to be just trying to be up front, lead the race as much as they can, and the other half staying back, maybe a second away from that lead pack and trying to make sure that they are still there at the end of the race.
Yeah, you definitely, you want to be there at the end. And, if you're not, then, well, you have another day. Just not too many more after today. So, it's one of those deals, you do the best you can. And that's what these guys are doing, especially Braxton DeWeese. Stafford, they know they've got fast cars, but they just can't keep up with Shane right now. Shane, as I say, that gets into the wall hard and sparks go flying. That may cost him quite a bit.
Yeah, that was a hard lick on the entry, trying to get that precise entry in. Is Atlee Gray, you see coming in the pit road. Also, Alex Walter coming in and getting service done. Those are your first of drivers coming in and getting service done and getting out. And this should put them just inside the window of making it to the end. But it is going to be close for those drivers, and I don't know if they're going to have the tires to make it all the way that far, as most of the field is 51 laps into this thing. I think a lot of drivers aiming for around lap 1, probably 152 to 158 is the window for a lot of these drivers trying to pit. And for a leader, it's as far as he can possibly go until he is the last car to come into pit lane, as Trenton Jump now coming into pit lane, as he was battling for 5th place with Tom Bourne there for an instant.
Yeah, they were definitely battling, and again, battles are far and few between here at the moment. Although we are approaching lap 150, we're going to come up on 60. Actually, we are at 60 laps ago. We are going to be 150 down here before long, as this long green flag run has really ramped up the racing here in the last little bit. Battles, maybe not so much. These guys, I think, are just racing clean as they're ready to get this thing over with.
Yeah, and now Spencer Hardison and for Braxton DeWeese, they are in a very tricky situation because you've got Atlee Gray and Alex Walter both on fresher tires trying to figure out how to get by those that are on the lead lap. Here comes Atlee Gray and Alex Walter. They're going to be trying to make the pass on the inside and cleanly able to do so as they're still side by side with DeWeese and Alex Walter. But those are those scary spots where the fresher tires are trying to make the pass as fast as possible because they can carry the speed so much more through the center. But those cars want to push up through the center of the corners.
Yeah, they definitely want to push up through the corners, and they do. Sometimes, as we've seen many times here already, when they push up, it definitely does not help things. And unfortunately, it causes issues for drivers sometimes, and well, it's just bad luck gets worse sometimes for these guys. Hopefully, overall you want to have a good run. You're gonna have some mistakes, but hopefully you definitely rebound towards the end of the race.
A train of three into pit road led by Tom Bourne, Logan Brakey, and also of Joshua Altis coming in, and Spencer Hardison now will duck into pit road. We've seen Caleb Smith. He had his issues coming into pit lane. There are water barrels on the entry that you want to try to avoid and kind of are deceptive on how you can enter because you carry a lot more speed. If you're trying to be aggressive, you can overshoot pit lane and go right into the barrels.
Yeah, you definitely can. You do not want to do that. So we'll just wait and see how it all goes. And, we see all these guys come down. Hardison coming down pit road now. And, we got a couple others on pit road that have been there for quite some time. Now you're going to see your leader come down, Shane Detarian on pit road. He hopefully is going to have a clean stop here. Remember earlier in this race, Sam, he accidentally did not get fuel in there. He does not need that to happen now.
Yeah, he's going to be double checking, making sure that his tires are clicked in, his fuel's clicked in, so he's ready to get service and out, as this is the potential of being the money stop. If we go green to the end, this is your stop. You cannot make a mistake under pit road. Don't miss your pit box. Come in cleanly and get out as fast as possible. Very clean entry for the 38, kind of conservative for himself. But he does get the tires on. We'll see if he gets fuel, if he'll have to come back in once again. But now Bronson Stafford, Braxton DeWeese, they come in together.
Yeah, those guys coming in together. Again, money stops underway here potentially. We'll just have to wait and see how it all goes in the end. Again, we should go the rest of this way to green. I don't see why we wouldn't. As soon as these pit stops go underway, we'll go non-stop here for what hopefully will be the final commercial break of the night. But pit stops need to be completed first, as we should complete them here. I believe, Sam, everyone on the lead lap anyway with these last two.
Yeah, everyone has done their service. I think the only driver that is potentially has to come in for a second, for his final time, could be Matt Dyer, who came in 23 laps ago. So he's a little bit outside the window and hard into the wall for the 88, who's just trying to get as many points as possible for himself. And he's hoping for other drivers to have some terrible days. As up front, it's going to be Trenton Jump, who pitted earlier than Shane Terrian, so he's got a little bit of a gap. 3.5 seconds is the difference, but the 38 is coming with a head of steam.
It is indeed. Your leader as of right now is going to be Trenton Jump, as we will show your top 5 here as we go side by side so you don't miss a thing. It's right now Trenton Jump, Shane Detarian, Spencer Hardison, Bronson Stafford, and Braxton DeWeese, your top 5. We'll be right back here in just a minute with the final commercial break here on LSRTV.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom T-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized. I mean, we'll do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything. Hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. Just you can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold, to where you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customer and stuff. So you just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, and if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You know, you can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink colors. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything. We don't Photoshop anything onto it, onto a shirt or anything like that. Everything that we go through, everything is drawn, and which is the reason for the art fees. We do have several graphic artists that draw for us, and you know, they're really good. So what we do is on any package that you do, we can mix and match. We can do any colors. You can do purple, red, blue, green, and do the rest black. It doesn't matter to us. With your design on there, we can do hoodies. We can do hoodies, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, tank tops. It doesn't matter. I mean, just it's almost limitless what you can do, and you can put all that together in that package to make that minimum, you know, requirements. They can call us 318-278-7191, or they can email us at bulletprooftees.yahoo.com, or they can go to the website bulletprooftees.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, which should, Sam, be the closing laps here. Jump is still out front. Terry in 1.199 seconds behind, and it was just 1.3 seconds. That gap is closing. If you are Shane Terrian and a little bit out of breath here, you know, it's a long run to go do what you got to do, get a drink, stuff like that. You know, the concession stand, Sam, is not close. You got to go down like 16 flights of stairs, it seems like.
Yeah, and then there's sometimes a line, and you're just like, "Come on, I'm the talking person.
Yeah.
Get out of my way."
Yeah, and you know, I just started pushing people out of my way, so we told them to get out of the way. And I think there, the 46 of Jump got a little bit loose, as he does lose a lot of time. And look at that, 1.3 to 0.366 in less than a lap.
Yeah, now the pressure is on side by side for the lead. Shane Terrian going to be having the run down the straightaway, and Jump just going to easily back off. The tire differential between those two drivers, 5 laps. Shane Terrian has fresher tires than the 46, so it makes sense to see the 38 pulling away as the race is in hand. I don't think there is anyone else that has fresher tires than Shane Terrian, and he is just going to pull away like a rocket ship. The next closest driver with fresh tires that are equal to Shane Terrian is going to be Bronson Stafford in 3rd place, but he's about 4.5 seconds back from that 38 machine, so it's not looking good for the rest of the field. Our favorite, Shane Terrian, he is trying to carry on the momentum that he had during the regular season. He had 6 wins, trying to go for win number 7 here tonight. And if he gets this win, automatically locked in to the round of 8.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to get locked in to that round of 8. And that's the goal of anybody. You're not out here to lose, for sure. You're out here to advance. So you know, it's just a matter of doing it, and that's even for Shane. You know, it's a harder task than you might think to have a flawless race week in and week out.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Shane before this race, and he said, you know, I would throw up the win. Whoever's going to win this race, probably up to myself or Bronson Stafford. You can also maybe throw in Braxton DeWeese, as they're going to be quick. But he felt really good about Iowa next week. But ultimately, he wanted to make sure he got a win before Dega, because he felt like Dega was going to be too much of a wild card, and could, if he didn't win those 2 races, could have knocked him out of the playoffs. And we're seeing it. Shane Terrian, he was focused and ready for tonight's race, and he is hoping that this race goes green, because if it does, I think he's got this race locked up.
Yeah, I definitely think he's got it locked up as well. And keeping in mind, we're on 43 laps to go, so we are winding down the laps very quickly with 29 seconds a lap. You know, you do the math there. I mean, literally, you do the math. I'm not doing that. That's too much work. But, you know, you're looking at about 20 minutes of racing left.
Yeah, I mean, we got 30 and 40. Yeah, I mean, a bit of time to go for these drivers. I mean, it's looking good for themselves. This is about 20 minutes more. If we could stay green, about 20 to 24 more minutes of race time for these drivers as they continue to clock back on their time. It's looking good for them. The other battles that we're watching, as Shane Terrian continues to pull away, the battle for 4th place, Spencer Hardison and Braxton DeWeese, they continue to battle on. A slight advantage goes to DeWeese with 2-lap fresher tires, but with how hard the 15 has been aggressing on trying to get up to the 9, his tires are going to probably be worn by the time that he can finally make the pass. And looking at the field, we only have a total of 9 drivers left on the lead lap, and that could dwindle down to possibly 8 or 7 on the pace that Shane is putting down.
Yeah, he is putting down some laps. We'll just, again, it's just a matter of how quickly he can get around these guys. And again, this little battle starting to brew right here between Hardison and Deweese. That is one of the closest battles from the tracks. Deweese looking to potentially get a podium, but he's got to get by Stafford first as well. And Hardison's not making it easy on him.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy is you got to look at the way that the drivers are standing now in the top 7. This is probably how I would rank our top 7 so far. I mean, I think I would put, Altus in the mix there, 5th and 6th place ranked, but this is pretty much how the drivers have been all season long, with Shane Terrian dominating, Trump right behind him, as well as Bronson. Spencer Hardison's been climbing up in pace and speed. Deweese just hasn't had the luck to get a win yet this season. Brakey's been consistent. Bourne, he's need a lot more luck on the 54 side. He's had the pace to win at least 3 times this season, but has figured out a way to throw it away each and every time. A lot of the drivers that are left in the playoffs, they are so fast in kind of equal footing, except for probably a step ahead is Shane Terrian, who, if we've already documented, will not be back for season 4 as his I rating is too high to come back next season. But if you look at the rest of the field, they are so close and consistent. It is kind of a toss-up on who could possibly winning next season's championships. But for this championship, you're looking at Shane Terrian and Jump and Stafford. Those 3 look quick. I think for that 4th and final spot, who knows who could get it. I think those are the favorites that we expect to be in the final 4, but you never know. We still got a lot of playoffs to go.
Yeah, the cap on the I rating, I understand it. From a league standpoint, I personally don't do it in my own league, but I do understand it. The only downside that's, that is a little, I don't want to say irritating, but it kind of rubs you weird is the fact that, we had Ryan Hartz, who won season 1, no longer in the league. Of course, granted, he left on his own. It wasn't because of any caps or anything like that. Then Shane Terrian could potentially win, and then he would be not in season 2. So we would have 2 seasons where we don't have the champion back for the next season.
Yeah, I mean, for Shane Terrian, he won last season. He's trying to become a back-to-back champion in the Adrenaline iRacing series. So, he's trying his best to continue on in his winning ways. And that was actually his ultimate goal. Looking when he was signing up for this season, was he wanted to defend his championship and have a great shot at it. And he's been doing everything he needed to do. I mean, last season, it was a duel between himself and Bronson Stafford that kind of ended the regular season off being tied with 4 wins each coming into the playoffs. And then they really were duking it out when the final race at Phoenix happened. And looking at this season, it's been a complete turnover of Shane Terrian. He's just hit another gear this season of just being more lucky at times, consistent, and being up front and watching other competitors just not have the luck. As you're seeing there, Jump's being ran down by Hardison and Deweese. Jump is just fading back. He's got the older tires, and he's just been getting looser and looser for the last 10 laps or so.
Yeah, he is definitely getting loose and fading throughout this race, or throughout the last part of this race. Obviously, Jump does not have the long-run stability in that car that he really wanted to. And I say that because there he is getting real loose. We have 33 laps to go. Is Trenton Jump going to be coming down pit road? He needs tires, and he's only had tires 27 laps ago, so we've seen people stay out quite a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, that last stint, drivers were out on track for over 50 laps or more. It looked like that was going to be their money stop, but coming into the pits, I mean, Atlegrea to come in 7 laps ago, he had some damage for himself. Jump has just been wicked loose. I don't know if they made an adjustment on this car or something, but he has not been feeling correct. We could actually take a look at the weather for these guys. The weather has been cool. It started off around 82 degrees. It's cooled off slightly, but I gotta say though, it has gone down to 80, so it is cooler temps. It means it takes a while for those tires to warm up. it could have been that Trenton jump. It just, this stint did not go well with his tires.
Yeah, it very well could be. And he's still on pit road, 20 seconds. So an extended stop there, maybe scraped the wall and wanted to get a little bit of damage repaired, but he is off and away once again as he is going to go one lap down, which makes Logan Brakey the last car in the lead lap, as we now only have, 6 drivers on the lead lap.
Yeah, Brakey's right now going to have 11 seconds over Shane Terrian. Looking at the lap time difference, Terrian's running about a half a second faster, so still possible for Terrian to run down Brakey to leave us with a total of 5 cars left on the lead lap. But for Trent Jump, I would imagine the only reason he came in was he was losing time and he had to have required repairs that he needed to get done. Otherwise, he is just losing time, and that doesn't seem like a right call, as the 46 still seems wicked loose, even with fresh tires.
Yeah, he is definitely loose, even with those tires. So we'll wait to see how he goes with 29 laps left in this race. Does anybody have anything for Shane Terrian, or is he going to go, what would this be? I believe his 5th race? 5th in a row, wouldn't it?
No, because he didn't win last week. That was Altus.
So Altus broke that one, so he would go and try to start that streak one more time. That's right. I'd forgot about that, but yeah, Altus broke up that potential 4 in a row, which again still eludes him.
Yeah, and also this would be major because I believe Shane Terrian, he said that the most wins he's had in a season on iRacing in any league was 6. So if he gets his 7th win, that's breaking a personal record for himself and setting himself up for Iowa, where that's another racetrack where Shane has been so good. Short tracks, we just see the 38 up front almost all the time. It's those mile and a halves where things get a little tricky on who could possibly be winning there. But it's exciting how the season's going to crack down. I'm also excited for the round of 8, where we've got Dover, Las Vegas, and Michigan. Dover is going to be another track where Shane looks dominant. Las Vegas, those mile and a half courses, you never know who's going to show up. And Michigan, super speedway racing, but with tire conservation mixed in.
Yeah, it's going to make things definitely shook up for sure. Is again, I just don't know how Talladega is going to go. That is a wild card for sure. I mean, can you almost call Iowa a wild card as well, just for the fact that it's a short course and you really don't know how it's going to go? You could have a stellar night, or you could end up in a world of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I think Iowa's kind of like Richmond in a way, where there's the potential of it going green for most of the race, and there's also the potential of drivers just wrecking every 15 to 20 laps, and there being a caution constantly. So it is kind of a wild card of sorts, and this whole entire first round was a handful for a lot of these drivers, especially throwing in Darlington and Talladega, and then throwing in a short track like Iowa. This is one of the more difficult rounds I've ever seen. I think if you wanted to make it more difficult, you could have thrown in probably a road course. Instead of having Iowa, put a road course there, and I think that would have been the most difficult round possible.
Yeah, definitely would have been for sure. But right now, I think it's safe to say Shane's got this one in the bag. That being said, we've seen him lose too, so we've said this over and over again. What does Shane need to do to just win this race?
Yeah, he just needs to keep his tires under him. I mean, be conservative. You don't need to push it. Yes, you've got 3 seconds behind you, Bronson Stafford, but Stafford's going to have to be aggressive, push as hard as he can to catch up to you, and we're starting to see that on times. Stafford has a 1 lap extra, and based off the last lap to the previous lap that Bronson Stafford had, 0.3 was the difference. So Bronson is gaining, but I think it's because Shane's backing off. He's being a lot more conservative, not trying to put himself too difficult. As I say that, though, he brushes into the wall, the same spot we've been seeing a lot of drivers hit in the center of the corner and that apex point. But I think for Shane, it's just put himself in cruise control. Just stay focused, don't make too many mistakes, and stay up front.
Yeah, it's definitely exactly what you have to do. Is just, hit your marks and hope that everything goes well for you. But laps winding down, 22 to go. Going to be 20 before you know it. And look how close Shane is getting to that wall. we haven't talked about the preferred line here. You know we've seen these drivers get into the wall quite a bit, but is that preferred line really up towards that wall?
Yeah, no, that is exactly where you want to be. A lot of these drivers, your goal is to arc into the corner, kind of get below the dotted lines, so your car will then shoot up and get right up to that wall, and so you can shoot back down. If you do the opposite and enter the corner high and stay high, the exit of the corner wall actually sticks out slightly. So if you are running right where the wall is, you most likely off the exit are going to slam right into the wall. So you got to pick and choose how you're going to be aggressive into these different points, but right now Shane is running the preferred lane on where you want to be, and actually that last lap able to gain back some of that time that he had just lost. Is that Lee Gray having some more woes for the 96? He might be pulling into pit road as he's just cruising on the apron, and he's just staying there. I think really for Atlee Gray, he is just going for positions and not really trying to race anyone, as he's just cruising around on the apron and letting everyone else pass him on the high side.
Yeah, he's had in the words of Wesley, a dismal day today.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just trying to just get out here and, every point counts. We could have a 6-car pileup and take 6 cars out here, and he could gain some position. He's only 9 laps down, so he had a caution now, took out 3 or 4 cars. He could gain some position still. So, I admire the never give up attitude, whether you're on the lead lap or not. And, that really separates a true racer from somebody who is just out here trying to play on a game.
Yeah, and for Atlee Gray, he's kind of doing he's trying to race for the best of the rest, so still there's something for him to race for. So just trying to get as many positions as possible, and it looks like he is underpowered and just deciding to cruise. But we can do a quick rundown as we're coming close to 10 laps to go. Shane Terrian, he is still leading the way with over 4.5 seconds, continues to pull away from Bronson Stafford. And Shane Terrian, ever since he's gotten the lead, no one else has looked close to him. And then back in second place, Bronson Stafford. I think he's been just having a quiet day at times. He's had Braxton DeWeese on his back bumper. He's had Spencer Hardison there at moments. But I got to say, the ex-Luminary drivers, ex-teammates, they're doing a great job running 1-2. And then back in third, that's where we find ourselves with Spencer Hardison.
Yeah, Spencer Hardison, and then, of course, you have Braxton DeWeese sitting in the 4th position, having a decent run for himself in that new concrete sponsor, looking like the old Napa from, I believe that was Michael Waltrip that ran it when it looked like that. Followed by Tom Bourne, Logan Brakey, who, was further back earlier. He is still on the lead lap, I do believe he is. And then you go to Altus, the first one a lap down in 7th. Trenton Jump and Alex Walter and Austin Jordan, all laps down here at the moment, but still in the top 10. And then not too many after that, still even on the track. Stooksbury, Johnson, Gray, and Dyer still hanging on, though, in 14th with a pretty damaged car, at least on the rear.
Yeah, I know Dyer's been involved in multiple incidences, also has gotten into the outside wall, and for the 88, this is not the way that he wanted his round of 12 to carry on, and he even came over the radio after being involved in the second accident with, believe when he was involved with that of Austin Jordan. Just said, man, it seems like my luck carried over from the regular season to the playoffs, and sometimes you have those seasons where it just does not work out. The 88 last in season number 2, he had internet woes that took him out of contention of making the playoffs. And for this year, it's been him involved in wrecks, and some that are his doing and others that were not even where he was a part of it. And so rough for the 88. It looks like we're starting to see a battle for possibly 3rd place. Braxton DeWeese is trying to run down Hardison. It looks like Hardison got into some trouble as he is slowed up. It looks like Trent Jump also involved with the 9.
Yeah, and that 46 of Jump is right there in the mix of things, even though he's technically not in the mix. It's one of those deals. He's there. He's just not in the mix. In the 5 of Altus in there as well. Joshua Altus right in front of these guys. So lap cars, like I said, I say this over and over again, and Sam, you've been here for this, and this is what I'm talking about. You have playoff drivers. Technically, Altus is a playoff driver as well, but even if you're not in the playoffs, show up and race. You are affecting the race. Jump right now in that 46 machine. Let's go to him right there. He's in the playoffs as well, but he's also a lap car. He's a lap down. He's not in contention here tonight. However, he is in there, and so is Altus. He's affecting this race, and that's what needs to happen if you really want to have shakeup in the points.
Yeah, and this is where a lot of that shakeup could possibly happen, because Altus, if he decide to back off or for jump, if they decide to just say, hey, we're a lap down, we're just going to park it for the day, that could be giving positions for that of Stewksbury and Jordan, both of them. For Jordan, 3 laps down. For Stewksbury, 4 laps down. Dyer still running in 14th, 30 laps down. So even if you go a lap down, you got to continue running. The only driver that was part of the playoffs and decided to park it was Eric Stamp, who went back to 15th place, which that was a position that Dyer was able to gain. And so every point matters, especially with how small the fields we've been having, especially the longer the season goes on. Usually we see the seasons drop off, as DeWeese and Stewksbury almost making contact with one another. Stewksbury going to go low once again, pressuring Hardison, and the 19 able to get by the 9. That was a very precarious spot that you want to be putting yourself in, even though you have fresher tires.
Yeah, you definitely don't. And, those lap cars benefiting the 9 right now, I think a little bit more, but here comes Braxton DeWeese. He is not done yet. Braxton's going to drive the wheels off this thing, and apparently the side panels as well, as he scrapes the wall. Medea's right there trying to fight. He is fighting for a top 3 position for a podium. Look how hard he's fighting just to get to talk to us, Sam.
Yeah, right now, Braxton DeWeese is understanding if he is going to have a chance, you want to get every point possible before you get to Dega. And so right now, DeWeese is understanding, I need to get a top 3 finish. I might not be able to get a 2nd place finish, but 3rd place is right in my grasp. If I've got 4 wheels and an engine that can still run at full power, he's going to do everything in his power to get up front. And that means if he needs to scrape the wall, whatever it is, just full send it and try to get by Hardison.
Yeah, you don't need side panels to make that car fast. Maybe on a super speedway, but not here. You can beat and bang, earn your stripes. He's definitely done it, and I think he's earned 3 of them. There's 3 on the side of the car. But he has definitely earned his stripes, and he's going to get to the inside, and I honestly think Spencer Hardison may have just let him go.
Oh, he did. He came over the radio and said, just go low. I think Hardison understanding that, that of DeWeese, he had 2 lap fresher tires, but DeWeese was pushing so hard that this could backfire on him. Yes, he's going to be in front of the 9, but I think also for Hardison understanding, he's got a lot of damage on the right side. Car's not, moving as much as he would like, and it's costing him time, but DeWeese continues to pull away.
Yeah, DeWeese is pulling away, but you look there is Bronson Stafford in the 61. If you're DeWeese, I know DeWeese wants the win bad. I hate to be the negative one for him here, but Braxton DeWeese, your chances of winning are out the window. You have 5 laps to go for your race leader right now, and you are currently about 17 seconds behind. Unless that 38 makes a huge blundering mistake, the odds of anybody coming away and getting this win here are slim to none. So if you're Braxton, if you are running them tires hard, even though they're fresher, I would start conserving them. Otherwise, you run the chance of Hardison running you back down.
Driver I'm concerned about, playoff driver of Austin Jordan. He's now coming to pit road twice in the last 3 laps, trying to get more service done. But here's the thing, Tanner Johnson is still out on track. Austin Jordan's about to lose 2 positions because he's decided to pit instead of just staying out there on course and trying to run a couple of more laps. He must have had required repairs, but this is not a good call from the 28.
Yeah, definitely not. I agree. Hopefully those were required. Otherwise, he would have been DQ'd from the race period and lost even more spots. But if they were optional, I would have stayed out as well and tried to just gain every position I could. But we're coming up on 2 laps to go for your race leader of Shane Terry. And it's just going to be an interesting question as to, is he going to make any mistakes? I'm venturing to say no.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking good for himself. I got to say, though, for Bronson Stafford, he has got a lot of trouble behind him. He's got lap cars that are pressuring the 61. And especially since we're not even at the white flag, Tyler Stooksbury is willing to be aggressive here. I mean, for Stooksbury, he's not gaining anything. He is actually hurting those that are on the lead lap and hurting himself for the potential of wrecking them as Shane Terrian's coming to the white flag. Bronson Stafford, he is hating this type of pressure.
Yeah, he is definitely not liking it one bit, but this is the time to shine for Shane Terrian. He is going to get his, seventh, you said? Seventh race win, as there it is. There is your CRN 1 to go. White flag is in the air. 7 wins for Shane. He's back on the controller here tonight. That evil controller, again, not sponsored us, but definitely check them out. And he is going to come to the line in just 1 lap, or half a lap now.
Shane Terrian going to bounce off the wall, but it's okay. The car's still running straight. Coming off of 4, the 38, punching his ticket to the round of 8. Congratulations to Shane Terrian. 7 wins this season in Adrenaline, and he gets to slide it around turn 1. Celebrations for Shane Terrian.
Yeah, he has got to be ecstatic. Picking up the win, moving on to the playoffs here in the round of 8, or round of 12, moving on to the round of 8. And what a run it was. And definitely be looking forward to talking to him here in just a moment. Sam, I know you have another broadcast to get to, so we are not going to dilly-dally around here for the post-race show. We are going to jump right into it as he's going to get some congratulations from Bronson Stafford. He'll go and do his celebration on the front stretch as we will go to your unofficial race results. While we're waiting on that, obviously Shane getting the win here in first, followed by Bronson Stafford, Braxton DeWeese, Tom Bourne, Spencer Hardison, Logan Brakey, Trenton Jump, Joshua Altus, Alex Walter, and Tyler Stooksbury going to round out your top 10, Sam.
At 11, that's where we're going to be seeing Tanner Johnson, Austin Jordan, with that of Atlee Gray, Matt Zier, and those are going to be their drivers finishing out the race with Eric Stamp, Caleb Smith, Robert Kenny, as well as Ryan Huff, all DNFing and not able to finish out this course. Got to be giving shout-outs. Top 8 finishing out this race, all playoff drivers, a great way to start out round number 1.
It definitely was. And of course, we will step away. We'll be right back here in just a moment. We'll talk to the top 3 drivers, and we will get their thoughts on tonight's race. So stick around. We'll be right back. right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and typically we would start with third place, but we believe he may be having some mic and audio issues, so we'll go ahead and start with second place of Bronson Stafford. Bronson, you led some laps here tonight, but in the end, just couldn't quite get by Shane on his way to win 7 races this season. What do you think you needed to get by Shane here? Obviously, maybe a caution might have helped to bunch his field back up, as very low cautions here tonight.
Beating Shane? Yeah, I don't know at this point. Honestly, the dude's a cheat code, so I don't know. I'm happy with the second place, in all honesty. Just trying to points through this round with Talladega, because next round should be good for me. So we'll see. I don't know. Iowa's next week, so Shane's probably going to go back-to-back.
Yeah, I mean, Bronson, it's looking like it's going to be all about if you can finish in top 8, top 10, get as many points as possible. Iowa next week, how you feeling about going to the short track?
I like Iowa. I think it's a really fun track to run. I don't know. I like Iowa. It's a fun place. It kind of runs like a mile and a half sometimes, depending on the setup. Sometimes it runs like Richmond. So we'll really see once we get there. But like I said, Shane's really good there. He's going to be hard to beat. I think he is the one to beat for Iowa, mainly since years of league racing together. So just kind of looking for next week. Hopefully get another top 5, top 3, and that way we're looking really good for Talladega and don't have to worry too much about finishing position and just finishing the race.
All right, and real quick before we let you go here, I think those sponsors on the side of the cars, I see and hear you have a new sponsor.
Just kind of running something for fun off of one of the games I play a lot, which is Genshin Impact, and my favorite character in it, which is Hu Tao, because I love Hu Tao. And, obviously you guys, LSRTV, you guys, came on late in the season and always have a lot of fun. And it'll be exciting to watch this one back, because at least something happened this week, unlike last.
Oh, we mentioned this earlier. No one came to LSRTV and said, "Hey, you want to sponsor us?" So we never heard that. So
we'll see. Maybe I'll throw a logo on there, Charles.
There you go. But congrats on second place. It looks like, unfortunately, third place is still not here. So congrats to Braxton DeWeese, and we'll see if we got him. Braxton DeWeese, you got a copy?
Yeah, I do. It finally clicked.
All right. We have a third place then, Braxton. You come in third, and you were coming in hot and heavy there towards the end, and you got third. Had we got a caution and you caught up to Bronson Stafford and Shane Terry, do you think you had the car you needed to get by them and potentially get the win here tonight?
No, definitely not. I was practicing the fixed setup all throughout the week, trying to get that down and stuff. And I get in a session and I see Darlington open as a setup, and I'm like, oh, so what's going on here? And it was the set was a lot tighter than what I was practicing, so it was very frustrating racing on that tight set, knowing that we had this fixed set that was all real nice. But it's not the league's fault or anything. They couldn't put the fixed setup in the session. They could only put the open one in, which is really crappy and whatnot, because the loose setup would have definitely we had good racing, but it probably definitely could have made it a lot more better or interesting. But yeah, I didn't really feel comfortable at all with all this set tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Braxton, you had a great run here, third place, getting good points for yourself. How are you feeling about going to Iowa?
Try to qualify up front, run up front. That's what we're going to try to do this whole playoffs here, and try to get as most points we can. If we can't get the win, we can at least advance on points. So we'll try to have the consistent runs at least, and try and see what that gets us.
All right, and quickly thank the sponsors as we see you have a new one on the side of the car.
Yeah, I want to thank Zerman Concrete for coming on to the 15 car in this league. They'll probably be on the car for the rest of the year. I also want to thank Ron's Pizza, Bennett's Publical, Ravenwood Enterprise, Scott Martin at Jeff Schmidt, NASCAR Technical Institute, Blaze Designs for the beautiful 2001 Michael Waltrip throwback. I want to thank LSRTV, you guys, for broadcasting, always doing a great job. I want to thank High Five for letting me drive the 15, and the league and all the family, friends, and supporters that support me and tune in. I really do appreciate it. Try to get this championship, bring the trophy home.
Now, that does answer one question, Sam, and we were wondering if it was a throwback, obviously. I forgot we were here at Darlington there for a minute, but yes, a throwback. I was just wondering, I was going to ask him the question if we could buy some of that Zimmerman concrete at Napa, but that is an auto parts store. I don't think they'd be selling concrete, so congrats, Braxton, on third place. And that brings us to our race winner here tonight for 7 wins. Didn't get his 4th in a row. He's going to start that streak again here tonight. That is Shane Terrian. Shane, you get the win here, and you had the fastest car based on speed, on lap time, and you just sailed into victory lane here tonight. You know, a oddly low caution race here at Darlington. I expected to see, a handful more. Were you happy to see this race go as caution free as it did?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I definitely was happy when for some reason, I saw my fuel man go to my car, but he didn't put fuel in my car on that first pit stop. So, yeah, I'm glad that it stayed green, because on the long run, I was almost like basically untouchable. But that's the thing with iRacing. I said in the race, towards the end of the race, to Bronson, I was like, I don't know what it is. With these crappy setups, I just somehow succeed the best when the setup is the worst, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, no, that was something that I touched on during the broadcast. It just seems like when everyone else doesn't feel comfortable, you seem to thrive the most. With Shane, you now got the win. You're trying to implement using a wheel a little bit more, and now that you're locked into the round of 8, you think the wheel's going to come back for next week?
It is. I'm going to keep my promise I made to Bronson and everyone. I was like, if I win Darlington, I'll use it at Iowa. It's a short track. I don't know how to brake that well on a wheel, so we'll see what happens. I know how to run the track, so it just depends on the setup. But I know Bronson said I'll be the one to beat. I don't know if I'll be the one to beat next week, but we'll see. We'll find out. But yeah, I'll be using the wheel for the next 2 weeks.
That's exciting to see. And sponsors you want to say thanks to?
Yeah, just, Able Controllers and... I think it's only my only sponsor now, so Evo Controllers and you guys for broadcasting, the league for letting me in. Gonna keep, hopefully keep winning and come out strong for the championship.
Definitely a good race. And real quick before we get Sam, your final thoughts, just think of it this way, Shane, as far as braking, if you don't brake, the track will brake for you eventually. So one way or another, you will hit the brakes. I can promise you that, or at least the car will brake. That being said, again, congrats on the 7th win this season. Sam, I know you've got to go, so we'll make it quick. Final thoughts for the race here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was an exciting one. We didn't know if you were going to get it done under 2 hours. I think it went a little bit over, but, great racing. Excited to see how these drivers are going to do, especially with the 12 drivers that were in the playoffs. 8 of them finished in the top 8, and that means it is going to be a close action for these final two races of the round of 12 to figure out who are going to be those final 8 to get to race in the next round.
Definitely. We'll be looking forward to that. Remember, next Sunday you'll see yellow and blue in the sidebar there, so you'll know exactly who is in the playoffs and who has advanced. Of course, you'll see Shane's name in blue as he has advanced to the round of 8. Everyone else will be yellow, so it'll be 11 yellow drivers and 1 blue. And of course, on behalf of myself, Charles Newton, Sam Dyer, and everyone at LSRTV, we hope you have a great rest of your Sunday night, and we'll see you tomorrow night for the American iRacing League Adrenaline tonight, and of course the Northwest Cup Series. Until then, stay safe. We'll see you there.